Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS speed rescue.
Contact, I am here in orbit. The first message that comes to me is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
Broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. I'm Joe Root, and this is Lighting the Void. It's Tuesday night, September the 10th, and tonight, after 12 whole months, Greg Doyle is with us again to talk about astral travel, a little bit about Reiki too, his astral travel course. His story was very, very interesting the last time he was on the show, and we had talked about some of his adventures in the Astral Realms, about how he had even seen his own death. If you remember that correctly, that was a very interesting show. So he's back with us, and that's coming up shortly. Now, I do want to tell you, too, that Greg is one of the other people when it comes to the out-of-body experience. There are people that I go to for this. Obviously, Monroe, you've got William Buellman, you've got Robert Bruce, and you've got Greg Doyle. You should be putting Greg in those categories, and that's based on my experience because I have taken his course. And if you go to his website, gregdoyleastral.com, you can actually go to gregdoyleastral.com/lighting the void and get a $50 discount on any of his courses there. And they're well worth it. There's a lot of material there. There's some very good tricks, I would say. I don't know if we call them tricks, but methods that really get you to that state. So, yeah, I'm excited about this conversation. Now, I got to tell you that the Transcendence event that we have been promoting for the end of September has actually been moved to the spring equinox. So they have moved that event. I believe the coupon's still going to be the same. So we're going to push that out a little bit further. And this show is brought to you by AncientLifeOil.com, the only CBD oil that you need to be taking. If you're into CBD and you know what it does for you, get it in your body, get it in your bloodstream. Tell me what it's done for you. Please keep sending me those emails so I can get that back to Ronnie, because when I send him all these emails, I want to see him cry about how this stuff has changed people's lives. This is the real deal, right? Also, getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. There's a lot of detox stuff out there, but all of you that have been taking it know that this is the best stuff to take. It just is. And you got to keep taking it, too. And that's the thing about it. So you can get all this junk and these intruders out of you, and prepare with thefringe.com so you don't get caught unawares. Big special shout out to UFO Seekers. We've been having some Twitter battles. It's fun. You get on Twitter and you see all these people that use fake accounts and hide and stuff and try to get under your skin and get real snarky. And it's actually kind of fun sometimes to dip in there and do that. But at UFO Seekers on Twitter is where you're going to want to follow them. And you want to go to ufoseekers.com. If you are actually interested in getting involved with UFO Seekers, let them know. You can give them a call at 661-UFO-7889. Follow their YouTube channel, youtube.com/UFO Seekers. I know you guys love UFOs, and I know you want to, if you're listening to this show, I know you want to know the real truth about it and not push yours on other folks. And that's what Tim's about, because nobody has all the answers to this stuff. All we have is experiences, right? Yeah, so let's do this, right? Greg's here, and he's the author of Awakening the Giant Within, a personal adventure into the Astral Realms, which details his experiences in the astral world. He also holds Reiki courses, astral travel workshops, meditation classes, and offers healing sessions as a Reiki master in Brisbane. Now, as a former professional classical musician, Greg first discovered meditation primarily to combat stage fright, and in 1999, he awakened to the reality of the phenomenon of astral projection. Now, this was, as it is for everybody when this happens, a life-changing experience that expanded his consciousness. It changed the course of his career and altered the very perception of his being at a fundamental level. It's also led him into Reiki, where he began his training in Austria in 2000, completing his master level in Australia in 2005. And Greg is trained in the Usui, lineage of Reiki. He'll have to tell me how to say that because I'm not a Reiki guy. But Greg's healing and meditation work specifically aims at activating latent potential, which when I took his course, it definitely did that as far as astral travel goes, so that's pretty cool. But there are many benefits, include greater concentration, ease of performance, more restorative sleep, and increased general health, well-being, and vitality. He also works with individuals and groups in both private and corporate settings. The website's gregdoyleastral.com. Greg, welcome back, man. It's good to have you.
Hi, Joe. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, well, anytime, brother. You're anytime. Tell me how to say that word. What is that? Usui.
Yeah, it's a Japanese word. I don't know how they'd say it, but we say usui.
Usui. That'd make more sense.
Yeah, exactly. He's just a guy who kind of rediscovered what we call Reiki, Japanese guy. So, yeah.
So this is different for me. Before we get, because I'm going to go down the astral travel stuff with you, but the Reiki. So you got into Reiki after you started having out of body experiences, right? Or
exactly. Well, John, I'll tell you the story there because it actually it was quite bizarre. Well, I tell you, it kind of happened at the same time. Like I had been. This is actually what was the catalyst, I think, for going astral. I had a sore shoulder. I remember I was living in Vienna, in Austria, and I'd helped someone move a piano up a few flights of stairs, which wasn't a good idea. It was a grand piano. Anyway, hurt my shoulder, but it was somehow a really deep pain in my shoulder. And I went to somebody who was doing craniosacral. I don't know if you've heard of that technique. It's kind of a gentle, not manipulation, but anyway, someone said, "Oh, go and see this person," and I went along. And but she was also an energy healer. I didn't know that, and she was able to move this pain from my shoulder. And I was kind of intrigued. I was kind of, I guess, like yourself. It's hard to know when you're talking from your own perspective, but I guess I had an inquiring mind, and I said to her, "Look, what do you mean I had an energy block?" Because she said, "Oh, you had an energy block in your shoulder," and I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I'd heard.
Right.
So. I said, "Do I have any more?" And she said, "Yeah, you're human. Of course you do." So I never forget that. So she was also into energy stuff, which I didn't know. And I went back a few times to these energy sessions, which I was intrigued with. And then I'll cut to the Reiki chase because she I remember one time she said, "Okay, Greg, you have an issue processing aggression," and she put her fingers into my mouth, up against my gums.
Oh.
And I remember thinking, have you washed your hands?
That's incredibly invasive. Yeah, I'd be like, wait a minute here. Yeah. Right?
Incredibly invasive. And it was like she was in a trance. I'll never forget that. Anyway, that night, I kid you not, I just remember my gums were burning. I could feel this movement in my jaw. And it was just like, I hadn't really thought of what she'd said. But I remember thinking, whoa, this is really full on. Like my gums, teeth, jaw, which I suppose are, looking back, of course, are energy centers and do. That's where aggression is often expressed, if you like. Anyway, next morning I wake up and I kid you not, there's a black translucent wolf, the head of a wolf in front of me. So like if I were talking to you now and you're in the room with me, I'd see you through the head of this wolf. Now, this hung around for like a few days. I thought I was going mad. This was before my astral experiences. This was kind of the first kind of weird, wacko thing to happen to me. I felt in this kind of level. Anyway, after a few days, so I couldn't even go to work. You know, I was working as a musician at the time, still doing stuff, and I remember bursting down in tears, and my girlfriend saying, "Look, just take it easy." And I was explaining to people like, I can't operate with it. With a wolf, it was growling, by the way. It had like green eyes, black face, kind of a white chin, and it was growling, or a white kind of snout. Anyway, after a few days, I was living with this flatmate up high in we had a house up in the snow, and I had a really good kind of argument about something. I just remember having an argument that I need to have I was able to stay with it. You know, I didn't lose my stuff, you know.
He was having an argument with who? Yourself or your girlfriend? Or?
No, I had an argument. No. It was actually I'd just gone with my girlfriend at the time, but it was actually a flatmate of mine who was a mate from Australia, this guy. Right. So, and I just found I had this argument and I seemed not to, how do I put this? I didn't get overhyped. I didn't let go of the situation. I was able to just express myself without losing it. And this was a different kind of feeling. Now, anyway, then the wolf, I didn't put two and two together this stage. Then the wolf licked me in the face after growling for like 3 days, and then went into the corner and rolled up. Few days later, and that was the end of the wolf. I didn't have a translucent wolf in front of my face anymore. A few days later, I see exactly that wolf on a woman's T-shirt, and my whole body goes into like this weird energetic fit. I say to the woman, "Hey, what's going on here? Well, what's going on? Who are you?" And she said, "I'm a Reiki master." That was how I got into Reiki. Exactly the same face, exactly the same wolf.
Wow. What's the deal with the wolf then, man? Like, what is that? Was just like a totem or something you were seeing that represented your anger, maybe, or?
Well, at the time I didn't know what was going on. I just remember, but looking at it, if this was processing of aggression, the wolf coming out growling, maybe a totem kind of thing. The fact that it was, for me, it's more the fact of where it's taking me. It was exactly, I've Googled that wolf for years. I Googled it. I never found it again. I never found that. I know exactly how it looks, only on that T-shirt a few days later. And I thought, well, there must be something going on here. But I think it was like an archetype that is in my field, that obviously triggers had been released into, when she worked inside my gums, and that obviously put something in motion. But that was the precipitator really for the astral experiences. They happened soon after that. That's why I got into energy work. What we call energy work is that I think that often so there are blocks in the energy field, and like when I give Reiki to people, often like they generally lose consciousness and they start like really, really strange movements going on, like someone's poking thumbs up through their body, like things moving, kneecaps moving. And it's really interesting what happens. I think they're blocks releasing, and the whole idea, I think, is to release the blocks, and then you kind of fall into the astral experience, if you like.
Yeah. So you can use this Reiki to help. So are you saying that you can use Reiki to help you get in that state before, like, clear your energy better before you?
Yep.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Absolutely. I think that's my energetic signature because of what I do with the astral. But I found that this would happen inadvertently. I remember as a guy came along, he was a construction worker, and he came for Reiki, and I didn't even speak about the astral stuff. But he called me the next day and said, "Now this is bizarre, Greg." I said, "What happened?" And he said, I'm driving this front-end loader at work, and all of a sudden I backed out of my body. And I thought, hang on, I can't do this because but I knew it was okay. This is what the guy said. I'm driving the machine. I knew that I could go out and that my body would continue to drive the machine. And so I found a few clients were having these out-of-body experiences anyway with the Reiki. So I figured that's not a bad thing,
Yeah. I think that's cool. I don't know much about Reiki. I've read a few books on it, and it does seem like something that I'm still working out stuff psychologically, and I feel like, man, I don't know if I want to be passing energy through my body and stuff when I'm not psychologically right. You know what I mean? But that's just me.
I think, sure. I think generally you feel really good after. You feel great after. Generally, it's like it puts you into a really deep meditative phase of vibration. So generally knocks the body out, so you don't realize you're asleep, but you're kind of asleep. Like often you'll hear yourself snore. It's a little bit like that phase you get into when you go astral. And what I'm thinking is, what I've discovered more and more in the astral is that when we go out of body, we actually enter a phase, like everybody's leaving their body, okay? That's what everyone needs to know. So that takes the fear out of it. So generally people go out of body before dawn, and then it's like the astral body is a bit like a prism where all these energies come into and are processed by the astral body and kind of brought back into the physical. So it's like we need to go out of body to touch home. You know, and that's where the healing happens.
Like it needs to happen, right?
Needs to happen. Needs to happen. Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense. It's kind of like, it's because, you know, people tell us, man, if we don't dream, you know, we're going to die. Like we have to. People tell us, I don't dream. Sure you do. Sure you do. Everybody does. I just don't think they remember it. So okay.
Exactly.
All right. So here's where I want to go with this. Last time when you were on the show, you told me that you seen your own death. You told me that you had a levitation experience. Now after you told me all this stuff, man, I had to try out your course, and I got to tell you, after I tried out your course, and I mean, I just started like the beginnings of it, some of the techniques you had in there, and I was in my chair in the studio, and the next thing I know, I'm standing by my door about to go out the studio. And it was the first time that I realized, that was the first time ever in my life, actually, that I realized, oh, this was it had that dreamy feel to it, but I was there, like I know. And I started realizing in my head that every time I dream at night, I end up close to my body. I started having images of that, like deja vu images. That made me realize, okay, yeah, he's right. We do go out of our body regardless every night, you know. Mm.
That's great. Great that you had that experience. I think that once you experience that, you kind of can't go back. You know, you kind of know there's something more. And that feeling of deja vu you talk about, like more and more I feel that life is a deja vu. I know it's a weird thing because the astral awareness is generally a non-temporal thing. So you realize that, and what I've realized is because I teach meditation and stuff too, and I realize that the reason you feel just this incredibly blissful state in the astral, you know, if you actually become conscious of your astral mind and kind of meditate in the astral, which you can do, you're in this space that isn't kind of marching to this drum of time. So it's very easy to hold that space of, you know, the nowness. It sounds cliche, but it is that notion of being very now. In this reality, in the 3D where we do seem to be in these restraints of time, every time you get that feeling of bliss because you're meditating and you're in the moment, it's immediately moved to the next moment. So you're stuck in the past. So you've got to constantly move with it. That's why in the astral it feels, what I say, more real. You know, you're more focused. Your energies feel more potent. I heard I loved the intro to your show talking about, you know, we are powerful beings and we kind of come from the cosmos and we go back into the cosmos. You just know this kind of stuff, and you realize that, you know, a power is such a corrupted word in our society, but really it's a great word. And we have a lot more power in our lives and in our world than we think. And this is what the whole astral experience alludes to. Like when you feel into your mind, even when you're in astral, you can feel there's more traction, there's kind of more access, you know, you can access more stuff.
It's addicting,
it's
right?
Really. Yeah. Look, it is. I've learned I probably am less addicted than I was, because I'm training people now and I've sort of gotten into doing energy healing and all that stuff and courses. I teach a lot of courses, both astral and Reiki. I guess I'm gone into a hands-on phase. I think I'm naturally kind of a quiet kind of guy who would be in a shack on a hill somewhere, actually kind of just meditating.
That's what I'm talking about.
To be honest. But anyway, I do like it. I like meeting all the people and sharing this stuff. But as a result, I find I'm less kind of craving, meeting aliens and all this stuff. The stuff goes on, and I'm interested, but I'm kind of in a hands-on phase. So I guess that you hear of some people have some experiences with LSD or ayahuasca, and they feel that once or twice is enough. They often say that, and I guess I'm lucky because I've had so many astral experiences, but I don't crave that as much as I did before, because I know it's coming full time soon. You know what I mean? At some stage, we I guess, at some stage, we do leave this 3D world behind. So I guess it's about, how do I bring all of these energies into the 3D world, into the, the interactions and the people who want to, I want to share this stuff with,
You know what I find is really cool, though, is like somebody as good as you. And this just isn't you. This is everybody I talk to. Robert Bruce, everybody that talks about this stuff. Somebody as good as you at the art of getting to that state you're still learning so much. And it's almost like it takes us back to being children again. And not only does it take us back to being children again, but if you remember before the world took your happiness away, when you started, signing that 9-to-5 job and stuff, if you remember what it was like to be a child with the curiosity of what your future held, it also gives you that feeling again, too.
Oh, look, you've absolutely nailed it there, Joe. I would say that as well. I would say that totally. I feel like a kid again. I think that's what it brings you back. And in my courses and stuff, that's one of the things that I really teach to people. It's this feeling of, there's this kind of this false kind of lumbering, heavy responsibility, this illusion of so-called responsibility that we've been lumbered with really weighs a lot of people down. And I mean, I feel totally in that way. And it's funny you say that. I had an astral course here at my place about a month ago. So we're doing a lot of meditation. A lot of it's meditations, as you'll see from the course, just to be in the moment. Anyway, the next day I'm at this market, and I couldn't, for the life of me, work out what year it was. And I literally did not know. And I thought, should I be concerned? I mean, I did a whole day meditation the day before. But then I said to my wife, I said, okay, what year is it? And she said, well, work it out. How old are you? And I was a year off. And then I calculated, because I thought, is it 2003? Is it 2023? I had absolutely no idea, Joe, what year it was. And so eventually I worked it out. I said, okay, 2019. It wasn't until the day after that it made sense to me that I thought, okay, yeah, there was 2018. Yeah, it's 2019. And I thought to myself, I realized that's actually great. I wasn't worried thinking, have I got some weird brain disease? I just thought, that's fantastic. I don't care. I mean, the time, the date, the year, I felt like, as you say, that little kid of just sort of being there. What is grabbing my attention now? This is good. It's absolute. It's irrelevant.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. When it happened. Yeah. And I kind of want to go through some of these different states and stuff that we experience, because this is where I think a lot of our confusion comes in, because we have like this dreamy state, and then we have other states where like, well, I'm watching myself sleep and this is so real. But either way, I'm curious as to what you think about these different states. I know we're up against a break here, but also I want to go back over that time too that you talked about how you saw your own death, just to ease people's mind just a little bit on that, because I already got some quick text messages on that one. They're like, what? He saw his own death? And I was like, yeah, well, when you start traveling in these realms, you never know what you're going to see. And we're here tonight with one of the best travelers of these realms that you can talk to, Greg Doyle. GregDoyleAstral.com is the website. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Right now we can get the information.
I love magic, and on Lighting the Void, Each and every week, you will get to hear shows about magic, mysticism, and many other subjects that stretch your mind and imagination. So when I got my mind on the magic and the magic on my mind, I listened to Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM. It's magic.
Neither God look with favor upon you.
You're wondering what we're going to do to you, aren't you?
You're listening to the Fringe FM, and I'm Michael Deacon reminding you can find my show right here on the Fringe FM every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, or by going to michaeldeacon.com. The choice is yours.
This is Corbin, son of the one and only Joe Root, and you're listening to the Fringe FM.
Okay, here we go. AncientLifeOil.com. AncientLifeOil.com. Now, this is for CBD. AncientLifeOil.com. Again, for CBD. Where do I get CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. It's pretty good stuff. Organic, non-GMO. We are the Ferrari of CBDs. AncientLifeOil.com. You know, they say when you mention a person's name 3 times when you first meet, that you're going to remember. So I'd say to you, nice to meet you, AncientLifeOil.com. It's AncientLifeOil.com, right? Nice to know that you help people. AncientLifeOil.com. Think about this. Occasional stress, occasional anxiety, occasional inflammation, occasional stiffness, and intruders that get you down. AncientLifeOil.com. Okay, so I'm going to give you a fact for the day. So Ancient Life Oil does not help you with business deals. Hold on a second. If you feel better, it could help you make a better decision. Okay, I'm wrong. Just remember to go to AncientLifeOil.com.
Come, walk through the mossy creek and up the hill. Never mind the flashing lights and otherworldly shadows. They stay hidden within the trees. Come, step up to the shack and begin your journey to the answers that you seek. This is Lady Anne, and you are listening to Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about Angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking Angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
I'm Ryan Gable, and I want to remind you to keep your radio, phone, tablet, or computer tuned to the Fringe FM, and visit the website thefringe.fm to listen to the entire lineup of shows. You can also catch my broadcast, The Secret Teachings, Monday through Friday, beginning at 12 a.m. midnight U.S. Pacific Time, right here on the Fringe FM.
Alright everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, me old China plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Lighting the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your northern self and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you beat a Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
And be nice when you call in. If you call in, be nice, be respectable, ask a good question. And That's all we ask. Also, the other number to call into is 501-424-5130. Greg Doyle is our guest tonight. GregDoyleAstral.com is the website. Also, if you go to GregDoyleAstral.com/lighting the void, you're going to get, what is it, Greg? $50? Is that right? $50?
That's right, $50. Yeah, and it's in Australian dollars. So because the Australian dollar is so low, it's actually works out a really good discount to all of the customers in the US, all the listeners. Yeah,
I'm sure my audience really appreciates that. Thank you so much for that. That's really cool. Okay, so let's just talk about this for a second. The fact that you saw your own death. All right. The person that's texting me this wanted to know more about it because you talked about it last time. We didn't really get into how you felt afterwards. Can you take me through that before we talk about that one more time? What you saw, how did you know it was your own death? And then should we actually look for, is that going to happen to us if we keep doing this astral experience? Will we be shown something like that?
Look, they're really good questions, Joe. I think this one, it was early on. And so I find some of the astral experience, to those people who are being out of body kind of spontaneously, like myself, and I've spoken to a few others, often the initial experiences seem to follow a pattern. And this is one of them. Doesn't necessarily mean it will happen. I'll explain to you how it happened. So I remember at the time thinking, okay, I was going out of body a lot, weird stuff happening. Sticking point was that it was more real than this reality. My mind felt more real, and there was more dimension, more colors. So I realized something weird was going on, and I was starting to learn that it was astral projection. This is probably a month or so after it started. I started to look into what this could be. Now, and I remember reading something. This was internet was just coming in very slow in those days, but I remember reading something saying you could have some control of the experience. I thought, okay, that's interesting. I just remember pondering that notion of what would I do if I had control over the experience, because up until then I'd just been taken places, shown things, and a lot of the stuff was some kind of ET vibe. And this particular time I remember going out of body, so essentially I'll take you right through it. Lying in bed, I had been thinking to myself, okay, it's possible to go out of body just by kind of imagining yourself out, because up until this point it had just been happening spontaneously. So I was kind of feeling into the vibe of going out of body. Like I knew how that felt, a bit of tugging on the third eye, that feeling of pulling out. And it's a funny feeling. It's almost like you're at the bottom of a glass of, say, sparkling water, and it's like this bubble, that feeling of being pulled to the surface. So I was just sort of playing with this stuff and thinking, oh, that'd be pretty cool to actually, go out of my own volition rather than just being taken out. Anyway, I was doing these exercises. Then just before dawn, once again, these vibrations came. So generally the vibrations wake me. So it's like a bit of like a slightly metallic
like the wah-wah
sound almost. It is a wah-wah. It really is. And so I remember just thinking, okay, I'm just looking at the experience and a little bit like what we talked to earlier about this notion of being childlike. I think I have that attitude generally with things. I'm just kind of playing dumb, if you know what I mean. I just remember thinking, oh, that's interesting. The vibrations are interesting. I knew what was happening, what was about to happen, but I just thought, well, I'm interested in the phenomenon, not always what's being shown to me. I mean, more and more I realize, it's a spiritual phenomenon, which it is. But early on, it was just kind of like, oh, this is interesting. What's going on? And that kind of kept me detached, so I wouldn't get too excited or fearful. Anyway, vibrations come, wakes me up. So all of a sudden, I'm awake in my body. Then I feel myself lifted out, and I'm in this kind of void. So it's kind of suits the program name well. But it is like a nothingness where I'm just kind of drifting, a feeling of blackness, nothingness. Not scary of its own. I know we've been programmed to think that's a scary thing, but it's just a feeling of nothingness. Then I hear my own voice speak to me, and often, not always, But a few times on some pivotal experiences, I would actually hear my own voice. I recognized my own voice speaking like through the top of my head, like through a resonator, like it was really like really booming. My own voice said, I want to see my own death. Okay, I hadn't chosen that thing. I hadn't thought of that at all. I had not thought of that. Would I have thought of that now? Yeah, no worries. But early on, I guess I just wouldn't have thought of that. Why would you think to see your own death?
Yeah, why would you think of that, man? Like, that was the first thing that came to your mind? Like, I guess I want to...
Well, it wasn't even my mind. See, early on when I went out of body, one of the very first ones was, I want to see me. It was my own voice saying, I want to see me. And then I saw myself as I was. And then I had this kind of slideshow of past lives. And that introduced me to the notion of past lives. I'd never thought of past lives. And then when someone mentioned to me who I could trust when I spoke about this, and she said, that sounds like a past life regression. I remember my whole body going into that energetic fit kind of thing. And I just knew that it was so. It wasn't like, oh, that could be right, that could be. I knew it to be so. So a lot of the astral phenomena, all of the astral experiences, you know it to be. And that's very hard to describe to someone. It's like it's going into a part of your mind or brain, using the word loosely, that is more real. It. It's not.
Yes.
And you realize this reality, the 3D reality is a bit more flimsy. I find, it's often tricky. You get distracted. Motivation can be funny some days. And I've learned to let myself off the hook on many levels. Like, I'll go walkabout. I mean, if I'm got to do all this stuff and then the beach is calling me, I'll go to the beach. And I've learned to do that because I'm not a robot, And anyway, getting back to this topic, there's a lot of rabbit holes, but they're good rabbit holes. But getting back to this topic, I thought, well, that's interesting. I'm hearing my own voice, but it's not my choice, the words. Like, it is literally like a higher self, or that I know that expression's used a lot, or a higher realized aspect of myself. So he seems to know more than I know, because he's able to take me out of body and show me these things in absolute, 4K, more than that resolution, because you're actually experiencing it. So anyway, he says, I want to see my own death. And then all of a sudden this void clears. So it's like I'm in a room, and the room is what I took to be kind of a hotel room or something, a room I've never seen yet. It just looked like a hotel room, because I remember it had a pink bedspread, and I would never have a pink bedspread. So I remember I'm lying on the floor thinking, this is interesting, what's going on, this is weird. I'm in my body, I'm in this physical body, and I'm trying to pull myself, I'm trying to pull myself up on the bed because I'm lying on the floor. And I'm pulling myself up on the bedspread, but I can't get up. And I notice, I lift my head a little bit, I notice I've got all this blood on my chest, and it's all coming down onto the floor, and it's coming out of my mouth. And I realize that, I know it sounds horrific when I speak in these terms, and then I realize I'm drowning in blood. And so I put my head back down, and I think, holy crap. And I'm thinking, what do I do now? Because I know I'm astral, but at the same time, this is ultra real, and my heart's going absolutely crazy because it's, I'm in kind of panic mode. But I kind of tell myself it's okay. Something in me says it's okay. I'm dying. It's okay. And I remember just allowing myself to let go, and I felt my lungs filling up with blood, and I just let go. Now, when I eventually died, so it took me a while for the heart to stop. And then I remember
hold on a second. We had a sound glitch there right before you said heart. So can you repeat that? I fixed it.
Yeah. So my astral heart was quite calm. So I mean the astral heart was going crazy, but my physical heart wasn't beating too hard. And I remember feeling quite calm when I came out of it. And I thought, now what was that? Okay, it was in the body I'm in. Was it an archetypal kind of thing? This notion of ego death, but it was more than that. It's hard to explain it when you have a dream, and that can be often ego death. This was a real thing. This is more real than the physical. And I think a lot of people say who go out of body that you lose the fear of death. Now, maybe you think of many shamanic traditions where, you get buried alive in a coffin for a ceremony or something, or you're underground, or I think there are many, I've looked into it, many shamanic traditions that this idea of almost experiencing your death, kind of like in a quasi-ritualistic sense. Whether, to actually experience that, I mean, I'm cautious of the room. I would walk out of that room if I were to walk into that room. I've analysed what I think that death was from.
What
was it from poisoning? I mean, it was something to do with the lungs. I haven't looked into that too much.
Did you see how old he was? I don't know why I'm so fascinated with this. This is like morbid.
A lot of people are. But it isn't. It isn't. Look, I wasn't that much older. So it was definitely this body. Now, whether that is maybe a lot of the astral stuff you have timeline. Maybe there are different possibilities. I don't know. All I know is it came from a higher aspect of myself wanting me to experience death in the physical body. I think it was to know that, because you come out of that with a phenomenal lifting, like a feeling. I think we all carry a mortal fear without realizing it. This fear of dying, and I know I don't have that anymore. So maybe that was just my higher self way, or whoever's has more awareness of my being than my physical entity. Maybe that's kind of like a ritual, a kind of initiation into that notion of knowing that we are more than our death. Maybe it is part of that. Maybe that's all it was.
Well, and you know what? It may not be this life either, but did you feel like it was surely this life? It was surely your death in this lifetime, for sure.
I did.
Eesh. Yeah, see, because I know, because I know that would scare me. I don't care how comfortable I was in the astral realm. The reason why I say that is because I know what you're talking about. Like when it comes to the knowing, right? When you're there, you can't explain the knowing or any of the answers that you get. You just know, and it's that's pretty freaky. So what I would do? You recognize the walls, the scenery, right? So as soon as you see that, just get out of there.
I will. Look, I'll always test the boundaries. But, in many ways, I'm thinking, Joe, I feel it was in this body. Now, if that time comes, if it's beyond turning around, it's like a massive deja vu, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I know I'll be okay. I know it's hard to put into words, but it's a feeling of, it's like rehearsing it in real time. And maybe, I've always been a bit of a daydreamer, I think, my whole life. And I feel, as I said, I enjoy I probably enjoy being more proactive than I once was, on the planet. So maybe it's also kind of triggered me into realizing that it's a limited time we have on the planet. And I know that, a lot of us, when we start to awaken, we see, all the misinformation and all the programming and all the lies, but also by the same token, it's, it's a beautiful reality. Maybe it's given me more motivation.
Well, it's been a year since I talked to you last. Do you get the impression that where you're going to go when that happens? Do you get the impression that you're going to be reborn, that you're going to forget who Greg is, or that you're actually going to go somewhere that you've always belonged? Do you get any impressions of that?
Yeah, great question, Joe. Great question. That's I do actually. Look, I don't know if I spoke to you about this last time, but I feel that every day is like preparation for the mini death at night. Every day is to become as conscious as you can be, or just to be very open. And this is all really in preparation for death. So, I have the feeling that I won't come back in this form. What I mean is in the normal human thing.
Right.
So, yeah. And look, I think I touched upon last time, but I've met beings out there who look a little bit like us, but they're not human, and they have what I would say zero egos, and these are the ones you talk to, and like, you talk out of the top of your head, and you don't even have to choose what you're going to say. It's a feeling of like, it's like this wonderful collaboration of energies where what comes, the thought, the ideas or the words that come out are kind of drawn out of you because they are relevant to the discussion, and there's no choice of the word. So I find more and more I kind of fall into this notion of this notion of losing identity and this feeling of almost invisibility, this feeling that really recognizing that I kind of don't exist as an identity. I don't. This is not real. This aspect of things is not real. It's really everything behind that, all the consciousness that is behind this illusion that is more real. I won't say real because where do you go down that rabbit hole? But it's more real than this. So more and more I move to the notion of not having identity. And I know it's a weird thing to say, Joe, but it's this feeling that I feel, even though I'm going through the motions of being here and doing all the stuff I do, I have the feeling that I'm not actually here. I'm the feeling that more and more it's almost like it gets into the notions. I know there's a far-reaching subjects, but it gets into the notions of karma and what we're doing here as humans. But I feel that more and more that this whole
got messed up ideas about it, maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's just ideas. So this whole karmic, not trap so much, but this whole karmic system we have, I feel, is very much built on identity and the emotions that are triggered about identity. And I think if you look at governments and corporations and anything that is pushing an agenda for monetary value, they're often pushing an aspect of your emotional body to react to something. So where I'm going with this is that I feel less and less reactive to what is going on at all. I just feel that it doesn't push my buttons. So I think that as humans, if we can become less and less reactive, particularly in the family constellation, I think there's a lot of karma built into that. I think we eventually move away from this 3D thing, this karmic thing, which is basically built upon judgment and condition, and we're moving to a place of.
Where else am I going to get to go to surf and eat food
to surf? Oh no, you can still do that, man. In the astral, I order a chocolate ice cream and it's a perfect ice cream. I have no idea the recipe. This is what I mean. Like in the astral, you can have a perfect surf. You can have a perfect ice. You have a perfect meal. The thing is, you don't have to know the recipe. Now we are kind of programmed to think we have to know the recipe. Like how are you going to get that? How are you going to get this? You have to know the recipe. This is what I mean. We're programmed into thinking it can't just be. It's somehow you have to earn it. You have to. Yeah. And that's part of the karmic kind of grist to the wheel. This notion that you got to sacrifice some aspect of yourself to get what you want. And I guess in the astral, because you feel that everything around you, that you are kind of everything, so therefore chocolate ice cream doesn't seem so abnormal to have in your hand and you're licking it and it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Or, so I don't think we won't miss out on, there's still seemingly physical realities, but just not this reality, not these laws.
Yeah, I mean, because here there are consequences and causes and effects. So it's more, maybe. So here's what I'm asking you: like when this whole idea that I'm Joe and you're Greg, and when we pass away, that we lose that identity, we feel that that's a bad thing. It scares us, and we avoid it a lot of times. We don't want to talk about it, or we say, well, there's nothing we can do about it. But deep down, everybody doesn't really, for the most part. I'm not going to speak for everybody here, but for the most part, people don't like that idea. So are you telling me that once we get out, you're getting the feeling that we really realize what this was? It was something smaller or different, and it won't matter to us as much.
That's exactly right. So you want to prepare yourself for that. I think that's at the crux of the whole conscious astral experience is is where is your consciousness. So that's what I mean by it's hard to say, but it's alluding to this notion that as identities we don't exist. So I am and you are. We're both. Everyone listening to. We are the cosmos experiencing itself through ourselves.
Right.
I mean that can't be denied. So our identities have inherent blocks in them, blocking us from these other realities, blocking us from these phenomenal experiences like levitation and such things, and experience of other worlds. So it's the identity, I guess you would say, ego identity, or this notion, this thing that we're attached to. Now, we're not going to lose that sense. Like in the astral, you do kind of lose your identity, but you don't lose your mind. Like, you're still you, but you're not defending it. You're not defending you,
Okay.
Yeah, and as you say, it's not really talked about. But more and more I feel, it's like, because I'm involved with energy work and stuff, and a lot of people, in the beginning you learn to defend yourself, put layers of white light around yourself, and that's a good thing. It's a pretty fluid reality, and there's a lot of unconscious energies floating around that can grab. But after a while, I feel that your field, and I know in the astral, of course, I talk about a lot about the chakras and cleansing the chakras and just breathing awareness through them. Because after a while, your field, it loses that purchase. So that when there are entities and certain lower vibrational entities that are flung around this reality, to kind of keep us down, they don't see you. They don't have purchase. So when I used to go out of body early on, there'd be a monster at the end of the bed, and I'd be swearing at it, or sometimes I'd put my fingers up in the shape of a cross or whatever. It's funny what you do in the astral. But I found now, like a few months ago, I just slid into the astral. I didn't realize. I thought I was still awake, actually, but I'd obviously gone just under, and I noticed this woman above my wife, and she was kind of manipulating her field, and I thought she's up to no good. I just had that feeling. Anyway, she saw me see her. As soon as she saw me see her, she was absolutely horrified and fled the scene. She just went straight out the wall. Now, then I came to after that, and my wife woke up with a jolt, and I said, "Whoa, what did you just experience then?" She said, "I just had a nightmare." And a nightmare was just a normal run-of-the-mill nightmare, but I know that this entity was playing in a field and had some role in manipulating her state of mind in that dream. I know that for sure. Now, the fact that she saw me see her and she got the fright of life and went out means that I'm obviously carrying a signature with me that says, I can see you. I can see you.
That's weird, though.
Yeah, so monsters, that's what I mean about purchase. They don't, after a while, when you start to come awake in these realms, these entities, they're just lower astral entities, they're archetypal, whatever, and they stop kind of playing silly buggers with your field. They do it because they can. And so it's also part of, our kind of evolution or this agenda for us to wake up. So more and more you kind of realize that there's nothing to defend, if you like. It's like that's like putting the cart before the horse. There's nothing going to get you. And when you really realize that, then you kind of become impervious to that. So these lesser energies kind of just leave you alone. They just leave you alone. Then you become freer again to adventure. So I feel, I know it's a bit of a convoluted thing. It's hard to put into words, but I just feel this notion of becoming visible to this. Like, so as I said, more and more I feel I am the cosmos experiencing itself through me. And I know that sounds very Zen and all that, but it's the only logical observation. So essentially, it's not me. I'm not looking at me all the time. I'm looking around me and experiencing around me. That is the universe. So I can only be, and so the more realization you have of that, it seems to flow through you in a more kind of, constantly deja vu-ic kind of way. And I feel, I guess, hence also my interest in meditation and Reiki, more and more to kind of dissolve those aspects within me that are able to that sync, as in, in sync with the illusion. So, and I feel that the emotional body of the human being is kind of where it's at. It exists to be healed. So a lot of my emphasis with what I talk about is kind of healing the emotional body, because really, the emotional body is the thing that keeps us coming back into karma. It's just conditioned. You respond in a conditioned way to things, like, oh, that's good, I want that. It's this idea that we need something extra, and for a few fleeting seconds you feel great because you got that, but really, that's, of course, there's nothing to add on, is there? So, yeah, I think I'll stop talking, Joe. I've spoken for quite a while there.
No, you're all right, man. You're all right. I'm just listening to you go, because it's like your biggest, that's what I was saying, like your biggest skill, and I'll bring this up before, is getting people to these points, feeling these energies, having this energy pass through you, and you still got more questions. See, that's what's beautiful to me. That's why, man, like when people tell me how it is all the time, I'm like, how can you really know that? I know I've talked to masters in their field, and they don't know half of what you're telling me, so it's like, the void is this really cool place. Actually, I kind of relate it, to the astral realm, actually. But, if you got any questions, you can call in at any time, text in, or use the chat. We'll be right back with Greg Doyle. Check out the website, gregdoyleastral.com. Stay with us.
To call Joe, pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Get the Tea is the #1 cleansing tea in America. We cleanse you with organic ingredients, and when used daily, you can increase your energy. Cleanse from intruders that set up camp in your colon. Cleanse your colon and feel the difference. Colon cleanses can be uncomfortable. Not Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea is mild yet truly effective. Cleanse your insides every day. Easy to make, easy to use, and feel the results. Are you sold? Okay, then here's how to order. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Look for our specials on the front page. Get the Tea also carries top-rated supplements for those who care about their health naturally. Again, log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com and feel the results. And for those of you that arm yourself with information, come to our webinar every other Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's every other Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific. You can sign up at GetTheTea.com.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Somewhere between abnormal and paranormal, there's a show called Into the Paranormal. I'm Jeremy Scott. Hear me live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern on the Fringe FM.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
OMG! People are jumping on board to the Life Change Tea Regiment. Brew, steep, and drink for a gentle, taste great cleanse. It's changing how they feel. See what everybody's talking about. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Life Change Tea aids in digestive slowdown and helps people get moving down a healthy path. We won't make claims. We'll just let you decide. Experience is much better than a commercial anyway. If you want results, log on to getthetea.com and purchase your super strength cleansing tea. You won't be disappointed. And if you're looking for some mind-body suggestions, go to YouTube and punch in the search bar Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Put power into your health now. So, getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com for super strength tea. And YouTube, Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now for valuable suggestions. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Alex X. Hi, I'm Alex Exum, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
I like to listen to Lighting the Void because of the guests, the content, and the host, Joe Roop. He's smart, he's intelligent, and he seems to ask the questions that we all have on our mind. We're all searching for the truth, and Joe helps us get closer to it. I love this show. I love this show. I love this show. Lighting the Void.
Listen, I want to tell you about G.I. Joy from GetTheTea.com. It's the best alchemical concoction of goodies for your stomach and digestive system I can recommend, and that's all based on my experience. Packed with colostrum, acidophilus, aloe, peppermint, and turmeric. If you do your own research, then you know this is the bee's knees for the stomach and digestion. Now, due to Big Brother's ears and the eye in the sky, you know I can't go into the details about what it helped me with. All I can say is I got relief. It's non-GMO, no fillers, no preservatives, manufactured right here in the US of A, and delivered to you by the only people who stay on top of the game and are out in front. Go grab a bottle of G.I. Joy at getthetea.com and see what all the fuss is about. Again, that's getthetea.com.
Hi, this is Kronox from Belgium, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335.
Well, I just got through telling Greg, just like last time when he was on the show where we talked about him discovering his death, that is an epic first for me. It may be a small thing for the rest of you. But when you have a guest on that is traversing his own mind in such a sincere way, a true and sincere way where he stops and he goes, you know what? I'm done talking. I'm done. I was thinking I've done that so many nights here on this show where you've got so many questions, don't you, Greg? When you see, it's like, okay, I know you. You're like a brother to me, man. You've got an analytical mind. You started, you played classical music, so obviously you've got a super analytical mind. And so traveling in the astral realm is probably going to give you more questions than answers, obviously. And I think it's beautiful that you're just so sincere all the time about that. Like you just stop and go, honestly, man, I've got to stop talking. I don't know how I got here, you know?
You're absolutely right, Joe. I think the questions that come up, and as you say, the analytical mind, I think, is true. I think maybe deep down, because classical music is kind of very ordered in the best sense, you know, like it's not like what a lot of people think. To me, when I first heard classical music, it was like, wow, it was like a whole new world. It was just beautiful, and there is behind a lot of that beauty, there's a lot of ratios, there's a lot of maths, there's a lot of numbers, there's a lot of frequencies, harmonic frequencies. There's a lot of the natural world behind what makes music beautiful. And like recently I got this guy to build me a pyramid out of copper, and it's exact ratio of the Giza pyramid. Exact ratio. I've got to have it exact, you know. And he said it's got to be cut to millimeter. I said, yeah, okay, you do it. I'm not going to do it. Anyway, when I set it up, sit in there, it's giving off a frequency because it's matching the earth frequency. So when I talk about the perfect ratio, you know, that number like shells and, you know, there's like one, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, you add on 11, and it sort of goes. And like there's actual frequencies that actually come out of that perfect ratio. So I'm sitting in the pyramid, and I put a lot of people under it because I'm lucky, because a lot of people come through because my courses. I say, okay, you're a guinea pig, sit under the pyramid, what do you feel? And they all feel this tremendous Zen state, you know, and I've slept under there and I have very, very lucid experiences. So it's actually giving off a sound, a frequency that we can't necessarily hear, but the frequency is there. So in nature, when something is, you know, it's the perfect dimensions, they're giving off actual frequencies, and that is a healing frequency. When, you know, like people ground, that is to heal as well.
Right.
So, you know, all of these questions kind of lead me down paths and the analytical mind to realizing that this is very real, like symbols and because in the astral, you know, I've tried Reiki symbols and it's remarkable how they light up and what's happened. Like I've tried things in the astral and
like certain methods or rituals or whatever to see what happens.
Exactly. And I realized they're real. Like we might not see them in this reality, but energetically, which is the real reality. Like if you think of it, everything everyone has is invisible. What I mean by that is you have a relationship to the objects that you have. The objects themselves intrinsically are nothing to you. It's the relationship you have to your iPad, your car, your clothing, it's your relationship, how they make you feel. So everything of any importance is invisible. Even if you look at water, it's almost invisible. Air is essentially invisible. So really these realms that are underpinning the physical realms that we see around us, it's the invisible realms.
Okay, so
that are actually underpinning it. Yeah.
When the magician, right? Because we talk about magic quite a bit on the show. But there's some very well known rituals that are out there, like the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, and the middle pillar ritual, where they grounding ritual, stuff like that. And in those rituals, they draw shapes with their finger, or let's say like a dagger, or even an incense stick, anything. And they draw symbols, and then they vibrate names or sounds. And so what you're saying is on the astral realm, you can see all of that. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Stuff's going on. That's exactly what I'm saying. You said it better than I could have. Stuff's actually going on. And as an analytical mind looking into this, first of all, you think, oh, wow. But then you think, well, why not? You just got to be open. And then you realize, okay, this is real stuff. You know, this is real stuff. These symbols, and you look at a lot of symbols that businesses use, they have real energies. There's a reason they have those symbols. These symbols carry an actual resonance. So if you, and through many years and different frequencies or whatever, these symbols have built up a resonance. So they actually, you know, like the guitar string thing. If your guitar's in tune, my guitar's in tune, you play an A string, my A string will also vibrate. You put a whole lot of metronomes in one room, all going different times, and eventually they'll all start to sync. Now that's the way resonance is built. It's built into our brains as well, you know. Like I've got this light machine called a Pandora Star that I kind of, people come along, and so if I have a frequency going through these strobing lights, maybe like whatever hertz, because it activates certain parts of the brain, then your brain will light up to that frequency of the lights. That's the way we're built. So if someone's putting a certain frequency through a television to give you anxiety to buy a product, your brain, that frequency will affect you, so you will feel anxiety. And that, you know, you could say that's not a good thing. That's just the way it is. So we can use that in our favor. So there are certain objects that actually carry very real, you know, and certain ratios that are very real. Like I've got this decanter that's built on the beautiful thing. It looks beautiful too. It's built on the perfect ratio. So you put water in there, and like I've had guys say, okay, we'll analyze. I mean, I have the greatest people, but I even say weird because I'm still analytical. But they approach me and say, can I analyze this water, you know? Okay, now we'll analyze the water before and after you put it in here. Now, after you put it in here, the molecules change. So it's like in a pyramid. In the 60s, there was the big pyramid movement, and there's obviously something to it. You know, it's not just a hippie thing. So all of these symbols and stuff, and I've actually seen myself in the astral putting symbols into people's auras that I don't even know. Wow. But I'm doing that in the astral, and it's waking up the astral body. I don't even know I'm doing it. I don't even know what I'm doing. But I've seen myself doing that.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating field, and I think the analytical mind is kind of rewarded the more you go down. I think it's fun just to find out this stuff.
That's the whole reason why I'm doing this show, is because I've had the experience. You know, I started looking at like Monroe's books, and then I looked at the books of older Renaissance magicians and Rosicrucian texts, and yes, even a little bit of Crowley, and realized, they're talking about the same stuff here, but they won't talk to each other, or they don't consider each other. They don't respect each other yet. Really?
Yeah, I wonder what that's all about. Because, as you say, the Crowley stuff is interesting. I mean, and it's a unifying of all these things would be ideal, but it's like there's different schools that block out the other, and you even get Reiki in Japan, in the West. They don't talk about that because in Reiki is also built on symbols. So when I attune someone to become a Reiki channel, so someone wants to learn to do Reiki, then I actually have to put these ancient symbols in their field. That opens it up. Now, the thing is, you could say, well, that's a bit weird. But like I've tried these symbols in the astral and I've seen them. Like one classic example is like this earth spiral. There's a classic spiral symbol, which is seen as a feminine earth symbol. It's like a 3 kind of spiral going in. Mm-hmm. And this is seen on all continents. See, these are based on all symbols. Now, when I tried this out, this is seen as a grounding symbol or as a power symbol, earth symbol. When I did it in the astral, the symbol was lit up from the stars. So I'm outside in my backyard at night in my astral body, doing this symbol, thinking what's going to happen. All the stars, and you see a lot of stars in the astral, all of these lights above power this symbol up, and the symbol just goes boom. And then I read after that, okay, they said this is the main Reiki symbol, it said Reiki was a gift from the stars. And I thought, that's interesting. I mean, everything comes from the stars, yeah? I mean, we come from the stars. I mean, everything comes from other than Earth. So it was no surprise, but I hadn't anticipated that. A lot of these symbols, they'll do things in the astral that you don't anticipate. And it's immediate. It's immediate.
Yeah, but doesn't that, it doesn't scare you like at all? And the reason why I ask that is because I'm not trying to push fear, obviously, or any negative vibes or anything like that. But these, so these people that teach this stuff magically, they talk about controlling yourself, like with your body, making sure you're balanced in a lot of ways before you start doing these things. Now, obviously, when we dream at night, we can't control what happens to us or when we become aware of whatever. But if you can, they say that's a good thing. Now, from my experience, and I'm just telling you this from what I've studied and people I've talked to, the curiosity and giving away of energy and just playing with it and being childlike with it is cool. But I've seen so many bad things and heard so many bad things that have happened that makes me wonder why. I've had friends that have ended up in, like padded rooms, specifically doing Reiki stuff. And I wonder if there's a process that either they're not adhering to, or if it's, or if they're just maybe playing with something dangerous that they're not aware of. I don't know.
That's interesting, Joe. Look, it's interesting. With Reiki, basically means universal life energy. So it's essentially just what we're made of. I think what I've learned, I guess, doing so much Reiki, because I do it most days with people, and I've kind of the whole idea is that you're connecting to something, and it's a very good feeling, source. Now, and it's also very empowering. You feel great after it. I know a lot of healers, energy healers, who get very tired and sapped. And I think a lot of them say it's from them. They say they're willing it. I remember in the beginning almost trying to will the healings, and I realized, well, you can't. I don't know what that person's story has going. So you learn to let go. You kind of learn to let go. And so I think that there are those who are kind of willing this stuff to happen. I know that they can have a few issues. I've heard of a few Reiki people who sort of try to heal everything without asking if they need to be healed, and they get real shocks.
Right.
Certain beings surprising them and their hair turning white. I know one woman whose hair turned white overnight because she got a shock with some entity. So I think, well, when I say, play with this stuff, you kind of with respect to what you're doing kind of thing. But I think that, look, I've just seen nothing really. Look, I guess I've had a few interesting tussles with entities, but nothing I couldn't handle.
Well, you handled your own death pretty well. That's for sure.
Exactly. And I think that's why it was shown to me early, because it kind of toughens you up in the best sense. Because, I think to myself, what's the worst case scenario? You die. So
yeah, right. Big deal, right? No problem.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I know, but it's shown to us to be the worst thing. Like, that is the worst. Like, the first thing that's on the news will be the death, who died from what. Even if it's in some obscure country you will have no idea of, you will hear about that death. It's really odd what is picked and just popped in there. And if your emotional body picks up on that, that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to keep you in kind of a form of submission.
Right.
So I think, look, I used to boo people in the Astral. I think I mentioned this last interview.
You booed people in the Astral Realm?
Yeah. Look, when I first started going out of body, I didn't know this was a spiritual thing. I thought I'm having great fun. I'll just see what I do. And I remember I used to go in the street, and when people would walk past, I'd stand in the street and I'd occupy the physical space, right? And I could feel their entire drama. Wow. And then they'd walk on, and they would pause. And then I thought, okay, this is interesting. I can sense their emotion, particularly their emotional drama. What makes them tick, And then I would try to get a reaction. Like, so a few people I go, I give a shock to. Because I remember when I was going out of body early on, I hadn't chose to do this. It was just happening. So, I was in a playground. That's what I felt. And I thought, well, and I'll say boo to some people. I remember one time flying down above a church. This guy was coming out of the church, and he was looking all pious. And I flew down and above him, and I said, Jesus loves you, like that kind of thing, right? In the astral. Because I wanted to see what people picked up. And he got a fright. I remember he jumped. He went, ooh, and then sort of looked around and went walking. Now, that time, there was a guy behind me in the actual astral, good-looking guy with blonde hair. It sounds ridiculous. And he said, Greg, don't do that again. And I thought, okay. Yep. And that was when that started. And I noticed that they were kind of like guardians of the astral. And I thought, that's interesting. Because I would also try to go and pull people out of their bodies at night. So I'd go to someone's house, a random. I'd grab their astral body and try to yank it from the physical, right? Unceremoniously. And I wasn't allowed to do it. It was very interesting. And these guardians were kind of patient. They'd sort of say, okay, what are you doing? Don't do that. Not in it's hard to say, but not in a don't do that way. But it's just Greg,
Yeah, like disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Not even disappointed. They were kind of smiling at me. It was like, we can see you got a new toy here. But it was the feeling of, like I'm like a little pup, just wanting to chomp on something here. Because, why wouldn't I? And I really, and in the beginning when these people said they were my guides and telling me about myself, I remember just insulting them. Just saying ridiculous comments back at them because I wanted to know what's going on. I remember early on, one of my guides, after I said some insult to her, she said, Greg, we've been watching you for some time. Why are you so sad? And I remember waking up and this vibrations going through me, why am I so sad? And I thought, what's all this about? Then it kind of started to occur to me that there was some reason for all this astral body stuff, that there was spiritual aspect to it. But I hadn't entertained that before then. So
I
I'm
might
much
be the
more,
people that Robert Monroe was talking about that he ran into when he was having issues in the astral realm and was being laughed at by beings. They were saying, listen to him praying to his God, while he was already scared. And it makes you think that they're super evil beings, but they could just be astral travelers that just don't realize it's a spiritual thing, and they're just messing with people, I guess, huh?
Yeah, there's a bit of that. That's what I mean. There are certain entities that seem to be locked in they're kind of in the lower astral, like ghosts are there, people that haven't moved on. So the lower astral is really a vibration that is a bit quicker than the one we're in now. Okay, but if you look, that's what I mean. It's like a lower fourth dimension. So if we're in the third dimension, which is a certain pulsation of energy, then you speed that up a little bit, then you'll go what is called the lower astral. Now there you get a lot of archetypes, a lot of the fairy tales, all that kind of stuff. And you get a few, like little monsters and things like that, a few weird things, and you get a bit of a scare. And then when you see them and acknowledge them and kind of deal with them in whatever way you do, eventually you move beyond that. And they don't seem to hassle you anymore. It's as simple as that. Now, if you think in the 3D, we've also got a lot of monsters. We've got a lot of, there's a lot of beings and authority that aren't particularly in our interests. It's the same thing. It's not, we're dealing with that here, and we learn to deal with it in the best way we can. It's the same in these other realms. The fact that they appear to us normally to be invisible realms gives them that kind of scary vibe, And I was in the beginning scared of ghosts. I think I mentioned to you, give me an alien, but don't give me a ghost, kind of thing. So, and I've moved through that, And I remember once I was out of body, and this guy came up to me, and he had a badge on him that was from a certain kind of order, religious order. And he said to me, "Greg, I'm your guide." And I looked at him, I thought, oh, it's interesting. And then I noticed one of my guides who'd been there from the very beginning, very good energy, this particular female, she said to him, no, you're not. Basically, leave him alone. And I'm looking at him going, what? What's going on here?
Well, that sounds confusing.
It was, but I knew that he wasn't my guide. He was just someone trying to enlist me. Just like, maybe a society here tries to enlist you to do something. It's just, and you at the time, whatever resources you have to work out what's what, come to the fore. But what was interesting was these people started to approach me, and they were ghosts, and they looked like normal people. And this woman said, "Greg, can you, my husband killed me. Can you bring him to justice, please?" And I thought, how do they know my name? That's the first thing I think. See, I look at the phenomenon of it. Right. Also, this experience began because I'm in a lucid dream, okay? And this is what would be interesting to talk about, but I'll come back to that but very quickly. But I'm in a lucid dream in a cave. I know I'm dreaming. I'm in the dream. I think, hang on, I'm dreaming. There's a rock in the cave, a boulder that looks very real, okay? So the boulder grabs my attention. And I know this from my experience in dream states, in becoming lucid. And I really look at the boulder, and I put all my awareness into that boulder, and then my energy goes into the boulder, and I shift into another reality. So you can use the lucid dream, if you're lucid enough to think about it, to go astral. You look for something in the dream that grabs your attention. It could be like then it was a boulder that looked very real, because dreams, you can see they're not quite real when you analyze them.
I've always had a hard time with that, though. But you teach that, right?
Yeah, because it's a great way of going astral. It's like going to the moon first before you go to Mars. Okay, if you want to get to Mars, you might, if those two things actually exist, you've got more chance of getting there from the moon because you're out of the Earth's gravitational pull. It's easier to launch, if you like. So your awareness is altered as it is in the dream state. So everything is rigged in our favor to wake up. That's my perception of it. Wow. So in a dream, you become lucid. I used to control dreams early on, and then I realized, hang on, don't control. Let them go. There's no drama. and then I look for something lucid. So the dream is trying to distract you. Think of this reality. It's constant distraction. So drama is what karma is built upon. Good, bad, this or that, beautiful, ugly, whatever. It's all drama. It's all dualistic drama. So in a dream, if you can become conscious enough, and there are ways we'll talk about actually, becoming conscious in the dream, then you ignore what's going on. Generally, there'll be a drama going on, something you've got to solve. Nothing to solve. Drop it. Our education system tells us to solve something. There's nothing to solve. 1 and 1 is a problem? No, 1 and 1 is 2. Or it's an equation. It's not a problem. We're told maths problems. Well, what's this all about?
I guess
no problem. What if there are no problems? So I let the problem go. I look for something that real, and in this case, I look for the boulder. Now, cut to what I was saying before about these ghosts. So then I sort of went into a real situation. So it was like a real. The cave became a room, if you like. It was a real room. Like it wasn't in the dreamscape. It looked like a cave. It was kind of but it wasn't. So that's how it showed itself, that reality. And I remember this woman saying, "Greg, what's happened?" And I looked. She had a queue of people behind her. I could see that they were. You could see this in the astral, that they looked human, but I could see that they were people who had passed over from the human state. So they were people in a limbo, a lot of anger or upsetness or whatever. And this particular woman said, "Can you bring my husband justice?" And I thought, if I go down this route, I don't know. And I looked at my guide who's standing next to me, this woman, and it is a guided experience, the astral. You call upon your guides to help you have astral awareness. And she was just looking at me stony-faced. She wouldn't give me an answer. And I remember thinking, do I want to do this? Do I want to have ghosts coming into my house to ask, to solve crimes and stuff? And I thought, I don't want to go down that path. I got
to take a break here, Greg, but I do want to keep discussing this further as far as where you're at. Right here with this exact story, that you was approached by a woman who wanted to help bring her husband justice. Your guides didn't give you an answer. And I want to propose something to you from, a magical point of view, and just see if it lines up with any of your experiences. Does that sound all right? Because I want to see.
Absolutely.
We'll see if there's anything to this. Hey, don't forget to I'll be at the Arkansas Paranormal Expo October the 5th and 6th with Lady Ann from the Caravan of Lore. So if you're in the area, come give us a visit October 5th and 6th that weekend. Tonight on Lighting the Void, we're here with Greg Doyle. GregDoyleAstral.com is the website /Lighting the Void. Get you $50 off his courses for astral travel, Reiki as well. We'll be right back.
Cortana from Shift Happens telling you to pour a glass and park your ass because you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Shifthead.
Occult Arcana is a balanced and objective guide to those subjects considered a part of the nature of light and darkness. Addressed in this text is a compilation of material that will provide new perspectives and awaken latent abilities that we all possess. The content herein shall provide magical sustenance for adept and novice alike, and will help strengthen the cornerstone of mystic understanding and alchemical transmutation. If you are interested in this modern grimoire, you can find detailed information and ways to order by visiting www.thesecretteachings.info. Although esoteric and occult studies remain vast, they are rooted within a universal philosophy that is difficult, if not impossible by finite terms, to explain in words. Language places restriction and erects barriers to understandings. By this it is to be understood that there are some things man should consider far too sacred to profane with definition. For these concepts and the manner by which we live our lives, we shall take a note from the Greek philosopher Pythagoras. Quote, "Silence is better than unmeaning words." End quote. To get your autographed copy of Occult Arcana today, simply visit www.thesecretteachings.info or email The Secret Teachings at rdgable@yahoo.com.
Ew, yuck. They're unhealthy and gross. Bugs, I hate bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. From contact, it kills bugs. Plus, Orange Guard kills hidden bugs and keeps new bugs away for weeks. I know. I use Orange Guard. Plus, all of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally regarded as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It promotes a healthier planet, and here's a bonus. Orange Guard cleans where it's sprayed. Plus, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard.
You can get Orange Guard at Ace Hardware. And listen, folks, Orange Guard is tougher than bugs, and it's safe to use. Go to orangeguard.com. That's orangeguard.com.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Bouval, Lon Duquette, Aaron Cheek, and more join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you are interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right, construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check, but there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
This is Reverend John M. Polk. Please visit me at johnpolkmedia.com and visit my show, Quantum Hologram Matrix, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, every Tuesday on thefringe.fm.
Hi, this is Sammy. Join us in the Deep South as we're lighting the void with Joe Roop on the Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. Don't forget, this show's here for you 5 nights a week, 9 p.m. Pacific to midnight. Also, if you have a show, podcast, or any type of content you would like to submit to the station and you think it will make the cut, email producer at thefringe.fm. Tonight on Lighting the Void, we're here with Greg Doyle. Greg Doyle, Astral.com is the website, and we are talking about his experiences in the astral realm, some of the entities that he saw, some of the guides that you met, some of the people pretending to be your guides, and also even how Greg liked to torture and tease people in the astral realm. I don't mean to put it that way, Greg. I'm just playing. But you just didn't know it was. You didn't really look at it as a spiritual thing. So you never messed with any kids, right? You never scared any children or anything, did you?
No. Look, it was just more feeling to see, really to see how much I could actually influence people in the astral, because I was, interested in the entities that we see in the astral that I encountered. Like how much are they influencing us? Like as I said a few months ago, when that woman was over my wife when she was sleeping, influencing her dream state. That I thought was pretty profound,
Yeah. Well, okay. So I got some questions in the Fringe FM chat, but I want to finish this story. Okay. So this woman met you in the astral realm. She said she wanted justice for her husband. Now, obviously this woman, had she passed away? Had she left her body or died, or what was the justice she was talking about?
Yeah, she had died. She'd been murdered by her husband.
Okay. So her husband murdered her and she wanted it. Wow. Okay. So what did you do?
I thought about it because as I said, there was a whole lot of them coming in. It was almost on a certain level. Once again, I'm interested in the phenomenon of it, So I'm sort of often surprised I find myself in the middle of these things because I'm just sort of looking around going, this is pretty cool, Right. I'm in the astral, got there through a dream. This guy pretended to be my guide, and then all of a sudden this woman. Now, what I noticed is I had a fear of ghosts, so it was kind of good confronting. It sounds ridiculous to have a fear of ghosts in the astral, but because really they're just people in the astral, But they tend to, when I look at them, they tend to look more confused. They look different to, like they're entities. It's different to a human who is gone astral, if you know what I mean, who is conscious in the astral, or a human who is not conscious in the astral and happens to be sort of sleepwalking like a zombie. These are people who are, there's a lot of emotional vibe still going on. She wanted me to do that, and I could see the people behind her also, and it was like I realized on another level, I'm allowing this frequency, like if I open my door to this experience and help these people seek justice or whatever it is on the realms of 3D, it's going to flood. It's going to flood in. Like I know I've since met a few psychics who do this stuff, and it's quite full on for them. Often they just get visited and by someone who wants something to be done. So I chose not to do it. I looked at my guide next to me. She was not giving me an answer. I just looked for some advice. And I chose, I remember pausing for a while thinking, how do I actually feel about this? And then I said, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I don't wish to be involved in this.
Did she get mad, angry?
No, not at all. It was interesting. As I said that, I also felt into I wanted to exit. I wanted to leave. I didn't want to deal with this in the astral. It's my right. And I said, no, I'm not comfortable. I don't want to do this. And I became conscious. So I put the awareness of my physical body, and I know my physical body's asleep. You still have the awareness. And so I just pulled back to my physical state. And it was just like, it was an option. It was an option. The option was put there, and that's what often happens. So, and my guide was there, would have helped me, I guess. Didn't want to give me advice. That was my choice. I chose not to, I think that's okay. I feel that there'll be other people that can do that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I probably wouldn't have done that either. That would be ridiculous to me, to even attempt something like that. Cause I'd be like, well, who am I to bring, how would you bring justice to a person like that? What was she thinking that you should do?
Well, it was funny because I was kind of seeing into a field, and she just wanted me to go to the police, and there was also certain evidence that could be brought forward that would implicate somebody who had not been found guilty as guilty. So The thing that my argument is this. Well, not argument, consciously at the time, but I just think this whole system that we have is built so much on condition. You know, we rather than what tends to happen after you've been out in the astral is that you tend to develop kind of like an empathy for all situations. So it's like actually I'm writing a new book at the moment. It's a fiction book. It's a fun fiction book, and it's kind of on these themes, goes further. But a lot of people, they've committed things because crimes were committed upon them. And maybe to chuck them necessarily in the slammer might not be the best solution. Maybe, you know, and often as I said, in the astral, you have a different eye, you have a different heart, you have a different way of understanding things. And for me, that wasn't in alignment. You know, I didn't want to go marching around getting people put in jail, even though when I'm back in 3D, I think that's, oh yeah, so there should be, you know, so there should be this kind of stuff. Surely to be responsible for what they've done, for sure, but I just didn't want to get involved in that whole legal thing, that whole, you know, police thing. And I know psychics to do that, and it's a different road. It's a different kind of character that does that.
Yeah, I totally get it. So, okay. All right, this is what I wanted to run by you. So some of the books that I've studied, then we'll get into the questions in the chat, or if you want to call in. So some of the books that I've studied and the Fringe FM chat, I've looked at in there because we've got a ton. I mean, we got a section in there, it's like books, and people have put tons of books in there. And I've talked about the Tree of Life. I've brought it up quite a bit as far as the realms of what's called the Astral Realm on the Tree of Life. It relates to a place called Yesod, which is also called the Lunar Realm, which is what they call the lunar body, right? The lunar body, to these magicians, they still feel like that it can be transcended into what's called a solar body, which is their, I guess, star traveling body, so to speak. And they have to figure out how to work out whatever it is they need to work out in the astral realm. And even in Israel Regardie's book, he talked about that the astral realm was no place to play around in. It was actually a place that was meant for you to do spiritual work in. And that you would see people either ascending in the tree, in other words, ascending to higher states of consciousness, or descending into the physical realm, or caught in between. But a real practicing magician, for people that really understand magic like that, and I'm not talking about light a candle and say, you know, I want $1 million type magic. This was different, right? This was theurgy. And they said that once you get out of this lunar realm and you become a solar being, you can travel the stars. You're no longer subject to being stuck on planets, etc. Have you ever seen anything like that, or does that feel at least remotely real or could be true to you?
Well, look, it does. I think that if I get back to, once again, I try not to influence my experiences all the time. So what I mean by that is sometimes I do, and I like to just see what happens, you know, what happens. Now, early on, when it came upon me and I had no motivation to experience anything because I didn't know what was going on, I'd be often taken to these other planets or other planets. And I've been since told by other astral travelers that they also went to the similar kind of planets where they experienced similar things, like where you'd be moved to meditate, to sense stuff. And you see other beings. I mean, it all sounds quite interesting. On many levels, you know, I kind of don't read up on too much stuff, but I think that the astral body is often obviously some form of, you know, you often do go to other star systems or other planets. It seems to have that role. That seems to be the native experience to the astral body. So that there's something in this notion that it is a cosmic body that is designed, an interstellar body, if you like. So that's even the word astral, you know, it comes from astrum, Latin meaning star. So it just from that alone, it seems to be that. I mean, a lot of the beings I meet, once again, I'm just looking at him thinking, wow, you look weird, just because I find that keeps me grounded there. I just sort of, also another experience I had a few months back. I had this guide who is a non-earthly being, a very tall, very thin ET being, strange-looking guy or woman, I don't know. Very nice energy. And they take me to this off-planet place, and there are all these a line of really weird-looking beings. And I'm probably at a tangent here, but it was really interesting. And they're all breathing really quickly. And I'm looking at them thinking, they look so bizarre, because I'm just trying to get as many details as I can in. And my guide is tall and said, yeah, they're breathing at 68 beats a minute for 10 minutes in your time to make contact with beings from higher dimensions.
Right.
And that was interesting, very specific, 68 beats a minute, which is very quick. It's basically hyperventilating. And for 10 minutes, 68 to make the contact. So very specific information going on here. So, but what I'm interested in is just this brotherhood of different beings. Like these were seriously odd-looking people. And I use that. I kind of feel like, I feel like there's a stage, there's a play going on, and I've just sort of sauntered into the middle of this set, this film set, without knowing what's going on. That's how I feel. I'm serious, Joe. I feel that I'm often just turning up at places, seeing these bizarre things, meeting bizarre people. Half the time I don't know what they're saying. It's way over my head. I don't know what's going on. I'm just kind of out there because it's kind of good fun, And I know that there's, but then I know often I'm doing very serious things, but I have no idea what I'm doing. As I said, like I'm putting symbols into people's fields and they're waking up, or I get people write to me and say, Greg, thank you for taking me out of body last night. And I go, well, I don't know who you are. And
wow.
So even though I do it as a guide to people to come to my courses and stuff, often I will have an astral experience that night where I'm taking out different people. I'm literally taking people and flying them out to the cosmos. I know that's part of my role. So I kind of, and it's also to lose the fear of it, So there is a lot of, I've gone past very powerful beings, very powerful realms. Like there's one massive kind of grid system of kind of like this very dark crystal, a crystal grid system. I remember going past it and I was kind of flying out away from the earth, sort of going to other dimensions, very because you can really start to feel yourself moving into high dimensions. And there was my whole left vision into the infinite was these black square kind of, it was like a huge crystal made up of segmented squares. As far as I could see, up and down, in front and behind, there was a wall. As I came toward this, there was a phenomenal energy coming up, phenomenal intelligence, very, very superior intelligence, very superior intelligence.
So was it a wall of intelligence? Is that what it?
Yeah, it was a different dimension that has nothing to do with us. It was like I knew that it had nothing to do with our karmic drama. I knew that it was beyond the whole ET stuff that I experienced. It was like, it was an intelligence that was next level, It was, I remember being there for a while, taking it in. It was kind of like, whoa, this is okay. This is, I'm not going here. I'm not going here. I didn't even try to get through that wall, but it was like the rules of the game almost. This was something that we didn't need to know about. But the fact that I'd seen it, of course, means that I was meant to know about it. But I kind of feel like the dumb, intrepid traveler that's just kind of out there. Occasionally I witness myself in the astral, or I move to do things that seem to involve actions or kind of I'm making symbols or doing stuff that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going through the motions of doing it. My mortal mind hasn't latched on to what I'm doing, and I'm meeting people of high energetic stature, whatever, and they're talking to me, but I have no idea what they're saying. Stuff's dropping in my brain. I don't know what they're saying. I'm communicating with them. I pick up a few words that I'm communicating. It's always to the top of the head. You never speak out of your mouth. So it's all kind of beyond your volition, if you like. And it's a feeling that, oh, this is what's going on. So our astral bodies are doing all this stuff that we have no idea. I think if you become conscious of those rituals, then, as you say, those beings, you kind of meet them. Like, I don't even put labels on a lot of the entities I meet. I don't need to know exactly where they're from or what kind of aliens they are. I'm just fascinated with how they look and what they're saying and what they're doing. I could probably ask, who are you? What star system are you from, or whatever. But I know I'm not answering your question at all. Probably
no. It's making me think, because look, when I did this, I barely got out of my yard, and when I started studying things like the occult and magic, I thought magic was all about rubbing two sticks together and saying abracadabra to get what you want. I didn't realize that there was another system of higher magic, which was called alchemy, which I fell in love with, which really doesn't have much to do with manifesting anything. It just has more to do with being honest with yourself and trying to find out who you really are. Then you get into alchemy, and time and time again, I see science describing what these old Renaissance magicians were talking about, just over and over and over again. And so when people talk to me about levels or different states like that, right? Because you know that I've traveled there once. I know that reality that you're talking about, where things seem more real. But I also know the dream state, and I've also had some kind of in-between stuff. And so when I look at the glyphs of like the Tree of Life or other systems of other guests that have been on and talked to me about it, I really believe that we are just kind of really buried in this deep state of consciousness, and it's like an onion that we're trying to get out of. That's my interpretation. So as you describe these things to me, I feel like that's what's going on,
I feel you're right. I think it's many people talk to me about, they think they got out of body or they went astral, but it was not really clear. And I had experiences early on too where it was very murky. What I find is the ones that I choose to go on, for instance, if I choose an experience if I say, okay, I want to experience that, it starts out a bit murky. The ones that I'm guided to beyond my choice, the ones that I don't consciously think where I'm going to, they're really clear. So I find the guidance, they bring another vibration. So in my mind, these vibrations that make you wake your astral body, in my mind, they're the actual entities, they're actual astral guides, or they're like it's like a frequency that is assisting you, that assists you, and the result is you have a much clearer experience. So I find I really nurture a relationship with my guides and with entities to help me out. And then I feel that also your levels of fear will be very much subsided, even those very low-level mortal fears that we all carry. So if one is carrying out consciousness that has that vibration, even at low levels, they can really make things murky. You want to be... The very first experience I had when a light came through my forehead and took me down a wormhole, now they also came into my heart and made my heart feel very good. So I was in a very euphoric state. So my best preparation for going astral is during the day, I'll do meditations, chakra cleansing, like in my course, just to feel really good in my heart, really, really good, because that seems to be the main driver of the astral experience. So your heart chakra really goes. So therefore, when I'm asleep at night, like before I fall asleep, I will kind of do meditations that I feel that I am the cosmos. I feel that my experiences are the experiences of the cosmos, or God, or my hands are the hands of the cosmos, or the hands of God. So I sort of talk myself as I'm falling asleep. I talk myself into recognizing the cosmos is me, that I am the cosmos. And that seems to disable those tripwires that can make things really murky. So I think what's happening is if you can take a high level, as in a vast percentage of your consciousness into the astral, it will be clearer. And that can be like onion. We've got all these states of beings in between. You've got all these dream bodies, dream states that, like, most of my dreams are unconscious. Most of my dreams are unconscious. But when I am conscious in the dream, I will use that state then. I will use that as a springboard to go astral. That's it. So I will not play the drama out. Even if I had a great experience in the astral once. early on when my book first came out, and I think subconsciously I was worried about how people would find me because, you know, I came from the classical music background, and here I am writing a pretty way out book on my experiences, and I thought maybe people think I'm a bit mad, you know. So I remember I'm in the Astral, about to fly over this beautiful lake of kind of molten silver or whatever. And I thought, yeah, here I go. I'm feeling great. Let's go. Then there were these two guys behind me, and I sensed an antagonistic energy, and I hadn't had much sort of, you know, so-called negative stuff coming to the Astral at that stage. I sort of been beyond that. I felt I was beyond that. I thought, well, what is this? So I turned around and faced these two guys. I might have mentioned this, and they came at me, and one of them said, oh, you're having your samsara moment. And I didn't even know what he meant by this. And they came toward me, and they started to pulverize me. I never forget this. And I'm in the Astral. These two guys come at me. I wasn't really afraid. And as they were beating me, I could feel myself disintegrate, and I felt really good. And they were looking at me feeling absolutely puzzled, thinking, what's going on here? And so they were kind of destroying me, and I felt absolutely wonderful. Now, I came out of that astral experience thinking that's interesting. So the next time I was in a lucid dream, you know, I'm about to crash the car or whatever. I remember I was in a car, and I was going too fast around the corner, and there was a big cliff coming up. And I remember in the dream saying, my wife was sitting next to me in the dream, and I said sorry to her, and then I allowed the car to crash. And I felt this immense bliss once more. So I realized over time, okay, this drama that is presented to us in dreams is a chance for us to let go of this condition, this karmic state of, you know, I've got to fix it, or that's bad, that's good.
Or what we think is, yeah, I got you.
You know, yeah. So I let it go, and that would bring more presence to me in the dream, and I would have that presence of mind to go astral in a clear state. So, I mean, I've also experienced, as I said, you know, I've gone out of body often, and I can't quite open my astral eyes and things that, you know, it's not really clear. I think it's the amount of consciousness you take with you determines how clear your experience will be, you know. Unfettered consciousness. So not so much underlying fears, stuff we don't even know we carry. So as I was saying earlier, in probably quite a confused way, but more and more I feel this invisibility of being is a really good springboard. So literally I am nothing. I'm, you know, in the best sense, I could sit there at a chair and just look out the window for hours and do nothing. And I don't see that as a cop-out. I'm letting go of this identity.
And I don't want you to think that it is a cop-out either. I'm just asking questions because my understanding is from a Western occultist understanding. Like, I don't know why that's what I adhere to, because I think I kind of think it's important to be honest with yourself intellectually, emotionally, even your physical life, you know, really kind of balance those things out before you push into more initiatic experiences. However, I could totally be wrong about that. I mean, we may be in a day and age where we don't have a choice. Like, everybody is just going to start having some type of experience, whether they believe in it or not. I mean, Greg, I get people that call me from high school that won't admit to me the stuff that's happened to them 20 years later until they've had a few drinks and they know I do a show about it. So they call me that they're having experiences now, you know. So don't think I know. Yeah. I'm just curious, you know.
I think you're right. I think, look, I don't read so much stuff on the occult. I think sure. There's obviously stuff in it. There's obviously a lot of power and energy in it. Because as I said, for some reason I see it as my role to kind of stay dumb on a certain level, or just to be purely experiential from that aspect. But who knows?
The first one is my role. Let's just stay a little bit dumb for a little bit, right? That's exactly where you need to be. Not all knowing, you know.
Yeah, I think so. And it's kind of, I'm constantly looking into myself, thinking, what am I? So I've really moved away, you know, as much as I can from the who concept, but it's a feeling of what am I? What am I in the best sense? And I mean, I do feel maybe I'm lucky But I do feel this very benign energy that is there, that is like I go out of body. And as I said, I'm lucky because those first experiences were very guided and incredibly benign. Like the feeling, the energy that was pouring through my body, I'd come out of these experiences with ecstatic tears. Now, not all astral experiences like that, but most of them are. So the ones that are really force or, I have an agenda, a strong agenda, maybe they're not as ecstatic, but when I still feel into my being, see, I often get sidetracked. I have an idea, I want to go and do something, but then, I'll see a tree and I'll connect with the tree and it's great. And it becomes more important that, like some little thing becomes more important than my grand plan. So I know that because really, I sense that we exist in a perfect state anyway, and these astral states and higher states precede the physical state. So the physical body comes after the astral body. So the astral body is around the physical. So the physical body is just this port of call in the 3D. But more and more I'm conscious that a lot of my reality, a lot of my time, if we want to put it that way, is not spent here. A lot of it's spent elsewhere. And it's not that I disregard the 3D. I'm just doing what I do here, but it's not as real. It's not the be all end all. So it's I'm ranting again, Joe.
Does your girlfriend say, "Geez, Greg, you spend way too much time in the astral realm. Let's go to a movie or something"? See, that's what when I first started having experiences, it's all I wanted to do. I mean, I would literally go to lunch at work and be late coming back. And I've got an experience about that a really kind of scary experience that I want to ask you about that I've never really, I think I've talked about it once on the show, and it kind of freaked me out. And you're the guy. I'm glad you're here because I want to ask you about it. Look, you guys, if you want to know the website for reference, it's gregdoyleastral.com. Also, I still have all of your questions written down here from the Fringe FM chat. That is the place to go if you want to go to a fun chat room where you can actually, drop links, talk about whatever you want. There's tons of different chat rooms inside there. You can start your own server. It's a fun place to go. Just go to thefringe.fm/chat, click on it, and come hang out with all of us in there. That's where the cool folks are at. I'll be right back.
The truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of The Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
Introducing Shadow Light Tarot from Waking Canvas, the Fringe FM's new contributing artist, Eric Tesey. This hand-illustrated black and white self-published deck serves as a reinvention of the tarot, never before witnessed. Each of the several suits of this 88-card deck lineup form an infinite panoramic scene. Even the included visual companion guidebook is entirely hand-illustrated, cover to cover, with beautiful visuals and esoteric symbols and artwork. The newly released deck comes in a custom magnetic box with its own travel pouch. The Shadow Light Tarot Premium Deck and its travel-sized mini deck Wonderlight Tarot are both available now from WakingCanvas.com. If you use the code word FRINGE, that's FRINGE at checkout, you'll receive an extra 10% off your entire order. To discover more, including a free reading and time lapses of all the illustrated artwork, make your way over to WakingCanvas.com today. That's WakingCanvas.com.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
We all have that story to tell in our lives. The winds were howling. The ground shook. You could hear rushing water. And then
History repeats itself. When there's no power, refrigeration fails, stores with their shelves strip bare, ATMs can't operate, deliveries stop. Then what? These events can last days or weeks. You need a plan. In statements made during recent interviews, FEMA Administrator Brock Long has repeatedly urged all Americans to understand three truths. FEMA is broke, the system is broken. If this is the new normal, Americans can't rely on federal cavalry when disaster strikes. Don't get caught out in the elements empty-handed. Prepare with us by going to preparewiththefringe.com and get your 2-week food supply. 92 servings, 8 food varieties with 25-year shelf life. Normally $137, now only $75. Or get a month's supply, normally $247, now only $147, shipped in one business day. Just go to preparewiththefringe.com or call 888-440-7931. That's 888-440-7931. Get this great offer and be prepared while it lasts.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
Also, don't forget, The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable is coming on. Right after the show, 5 nights a week, Ryan Gable, The Secret Teachings, comes on. All the way through the night, the Fringe FM is here for you. And tonight, here on Lighting the Void, Greg Doyle is with us, and we are discussing his adventures in the Astral Realm. We haven't really got into your teachings too much, but I will say that they work. And you guys know the people that I recommend when it comes to that. There's a lot of people teaching about astral travel. And I got no qualms against the people that I don't know about, but the people that I do, like Robert Bruce, I'm losing my train of thought now. Robert Bruce, Robert Monroe, William Buhlman, and Greg. Yeah, that's it. Like, I'm trying to think of a fifth one. If there was, maybe Jason Quitt, I would think would be my top 5. And like Jason, you are involved with energy work too, which is, and Robert is too, but he keeps the mentality of controlling your energy a little bit more than just kind of surrendering to it, so to speak. But I think everybody's got their own methods and ideas that they use. But I do want to tell you just one real quick thing before we get into that, because I want to kind of mesh this together, the energy part plus the astral travel stuff, and kind of talk about what magic really is for the folks out there that are still confused about it. But I had an experience at work one time where I told you before the break that I was leaving my car. I would drive to a park and I would walk around the park, and then when I got back to my car, I would lay in my car and I would just try the methods that Robert Monroe was talking about. I kind of wish I had your teachings back then too, because yours is a little bit more modern. He was one of the first people, but anyways. And so I had this experience where my body would get like hot, like it was almost on fire, worse than a hot flash, right? Felt like I was on fire, so to speak, and it felt like I was either about to die or give way or something, and it always jerked me back. You know what that is? Is that energy that I'm feeling, or is that just me not feeling my body anymore?
That's a good one. No one's asked me that before. I just want to answer one thing quickly. Yes, my girlfriend at the time, she's now my wife, did say, Greg, you're a bit absent these days, because I was always going out, the same as you. I was always lying down in the beginning, just wanting to go astral, I was obsessed with going astral. So that it was kind of funny. But now she's come to terms with that, and I'm not so obsessed. The heat is interesting. Over the years, I am like a fireplace. I get so hot. It's actually a problem for me. You're actually vibrating at a quick speed, you know. So your energy body, you start to heat up. So your energy body takes on more heat. So it's around your body it'll be the surface of your body that's hot as it's kind of moving into that phase. And that can sometimes get so warm that it actually makes it difficult. So you want to find an environment that is okay in. So your physical body becomes actually colder inside. And I've actually had this tested by a Chinese doctor who said, and a few doctors have said, yes, that's correct. What's happening there is that it's just the surface of your body becomes quicker. Now that happens now. There is what I think is connected to what they call the quickening, where all of our energy bodies are starting to activate, and it does come with heat. It does come with immense heat.
Okay, so because that happened to me quite a few times, and everybody's had that feeling where they doze off or where they feel themselves just immediately go paralyzed, right? I mean, that's kind of happened to all of us, and it feels really weird, and you jerk. And I've even had other friends that they felt their body slipping, like sideways, so to speak. But the
exactly,
heat
and it
freaked me out.
Yeah, the heat's interesting. But just getting back to that notion of the paralysis and stuff. So really, like, I had a sleep paralysis a lot until I started going out of body. Then I've never had it again. So it just means when you go out, you're taking your kind of primal, a lot of energies with you. You leave back just a pilot light. So the physical body cools down, and there's just enough energy there, but it can't move. Now, if you have a shock in the astral, but you have not downloaded or incorporated that memory of the astral experience, remember, it's beyond time, so it can happen very quickly. So I have the feeling that we have an astral experience, and then we kind of download it into the physical system. So I think I've touched upon this in the online course too, but the whole thing is to develop this relationship between astral mind and your mortal mind, if you like, so that the blockages in between those pathways that are closed start to open up. Because, as I said, I've never had the paralysis again, but if you are shocked in the astral and then your physical body all of a sudden gets a signal to, hey, what's going on here? There's not enough energy to move, so you literally cannot move. You're in your body, but you can't. The motor, the energy, you can't move your fingers. You can't talk. You can't scream. You can't open your eyes. That's a normal phenomenon. But the experience from the astral is just not getting through. It's just not getting through. So you're not remembering that. So it's working on the downloading of the experience from the astral. So it's a little bit like cultivating a new relationship. You cultivate a relationship with your astral body. You cultivate this acknowledgement that it exists. You imagine lying there in bed with your eyes open, so your energetic eyes open. So when I go to bed, even now, as I talk to you, I can close my eyes and I'm imagining the room all around me, like behind me and above me, just this loose imagining. I'm conscious of my spatial awareness. And these are all exercises that aren't, so out there. They're pretty straightforward, just to acknowledge this thing. But getting back to your heat, it is interesting. I've noticed that over the years too, sometimes I've got to abort astral meditations at night or astral because I'm just too hot.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Now, all right. So what skills have you seen? Because I've heard about this and I want to confirm this with you a little bit, that people can require that get to the point where they can travel frequently and see these realms. When it comes to energy. Or just
what skills?
Period. Like, other people call it bilocation. I've heard people say they can teleport.
Yeah, exactly. Look, what is amazing is he kind of wakes up when you're out of body, it just occurs to you, like it occurs to your astral brain or your mind. You actually literally feel it in your brain. Like all of a sudden you start, telekinesis and stuff. Like, so when I'm in the astral, I'm just kind of like, like a baby wanting to, first you walk backwards or you crawl backwards, then you start to crawl forwards, then you start to walk. It's like I'm fascinated that I think to myself, why am I interested in, like early on, why I'd be moving things around, and you feel it so much in your mind, in your brain, and you know that you're in the astral, you're moving things around. The reality feels more real. You can do it. There's a part of your brain that's. You're thinking when you go back to the body, why can't you do it physically? And it's also with these teleporting and biolocalism. So, or this notion of, like when I lived in Spain a while back, and then my cat, we are very close to my cat who was on a farm in Victoria in Southern Australia. Now, cats are great at going astral, and I used to play all sorts of tricks on the cat. Like I used to send symbols to it, and even the TV remote, you play the TV remote around a cat, the old infrared ones, and the cat can see it all right. So they're able to pick up these frequencies very easily. I would arrange to meet my cat in the astral. So I'd go astral, then I'd just think of my cat, then it was there. I remember once, so I'm kind of like in a void situation. I'm just experiencing the cat, purring and that. And I knew in the astral, I'm always tapping into my mind in the astral to see how my mind is thinking. And I knew that I could pour enough awareness into this experience to bring the cat into Spain, into that reality, to literally transport the cat, to teleport the cat. I knew I could do it in the astral. I knew it. I knew it. And I know that feeling of knowing, in the astral, it just clicks, things click. Uh-huh. And I thought to myself, I can do this, but because we're going back to Australia soon after, I thought, when I go back to Australia, we'll have to be in quarantine for at least 3 months. I remember thinking that. I didn't want to put the cat in quarantine because, if you're taking an animal from Europe to Australia because of the rabies thing. So, and I remember that was like the tripwire, that was the fear that came with that experience. It was interesting. I was about to do it. The reason this became interesting for me was, as I said, as you touched upon earlier, I had a levitation experience where I had an astral experience in the physical, and where the vibrations came and I was lifted up and turned over. And I've heard since that other people have this experience. I remember these things are so real to you that it's beyond this, did it happen? Or it's even beyond the need for anyone to understand that it happened to you. You know that it happened. And so for me, once again, this phenomenon of astral travel, that's probably why I guess I teach it, don't I? Because I'm interested in the phenomenon of it.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah. So for me, that's fascinating. This notion that, as I said to you in the break, I'm interested to have an experience where there's a group of people, maybe in a room that is, very dimly lit, and I astrally project from another room, like along another city into that room. Because I believe that, and I've touched upon that concept in the astral, I know that I can do that I could, and it's a question of, I love that notion that, I could, a little bit like, I think in Star Wars someone didn't, was it Obi-Wan, someone, and, where there can be a translucent, like a holographic version of you somewhere else, that's what they call bilocation. And even, this notion of telekinesis, these are the things, if I'm honest with you, these are the things that excite me probably the most with the astral is, what now? Where to? Where can I go with this? So for me, it is a very phenomenon-based thing. I'm not really looking to manipulate others so much. Or people have said to me, Greg, let's get an astral army together. Let's bring them down, and I just don't feel that's my lot, I don't feel to add to the fight. That's just not me, I'm a pacifist.
No, well, you're a positive guy too,
Probably.
Yeah, it's not. I don't consider you a pacifist. Like, you care for sure. So
yeah, Yeah. That's right. And look, the phenomenon from the very beginning fascinated me. I think that did help me get out, because I would be very interested, in looking around, what's going on, the people, the stuff, how real it is. People would be talking at me, and I'd almost, I could feel it downloading. But it's for me, it literally is such a phenomenal feeling to be out of body. It just feels so great. Why wouldn't you want to feel it? And then others have said to me, well, you're going to die at some stage anyway. I want to, let that happen then. But I'm thinking, no, there's a reason for all of this. And I think that I had this real, as we've touched upon, this real feeling that you want to let go as much as you can and be as conscious as you can before you die. And therefore, look at a lot of Tibetan Buddhist monks, they actually die consciously. So in the last phase of their life, they know they're going to die, and they meditate, so they remain conscious as they pass over. And physically, they actually shrink. It's fascinating.
What do you mean?
And so as they lose their life force, they literally become smaller physically.
Wow.
So they
okay.
Yeah. So, but they actually pass over. So they move. So you're literally meditating, because it was a real buzz to have an astral experience while I'm awake. That to have an astral experience when you're awake is really interdimensional. That is so cool, because you realize that the laws of physics and gravity, there's more going on. It really is magic. It's going to those realms of magic, as you say. And I feel that there's so much untapped potential we have, because we don't acknowledge these higher aspects of ourselves. So to me, to be as conscious as I can each day, so that when I have my mini death at night, to feel as good as I can as I move toward night and as I move into sleep, to feel as good as I can, just to feel as empty, just good, just no agenda state. I'm really on about these days, and that letting go of identity, and that prepares you very well for sleep and gives you a very good chance at gaining traction into a conscious state. And therefore, I feel my whole lifetime, personally, is in preparation for, as we touched upon earlier, this notion of being as conscious as possible. So maybe that's why that death experience I had is kind of preparing me, if I am in that scenario and I can't get out of it, whatever. Right. But yeah, what does excite me, as you said, is this notion of bilocation and all these things, the actual applications. Not only, sure, you can manifest things in this realm, which is very interesting. As you touched upon, you want $1 million. Well, I get people approach me and say, look, there's these diamond mines, Greg. I want you to astrally travel and tell me exactly where the diamonds are. And I just say, look, I don't do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to, even though I understand that, but, you can see where that's going, can't you? And it's a tricky one. How much does one focus on that? But one has the right to manifest in your world what you wish to experience. And I think if it's heart-based, it tends to be more supported by the astral phenomenon. What I mean by that is, I don't mean that in a judgmental way. I mean that because it's the heart chakra that seems to power the astral experience. And if you look at what the heart entails, this notion of empathy and of love and of unconditioned, that's very much at odds with probably a lot of the material world. But I think that by the same token, you should be looked after. People should have a good quality of life. They should have everything materially that they need. These are things that can be also, astrally acquired, if you like.
Sure.
And it will bring them quicker into the physical. That is absolutely true. You go into the astral, you're sending a clearer signal into the cosmos. The laws of resonance will dictate that will happen in the physical. That is true.
Genevieve is wanting to know if you can leave your body from one of the chakras instead of, I think that's her question. Can you exit from one of the chakras in your body? I don't know.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes, you can. You can. And often it's the top, the crown, third eye, throat, heart that tend to move toward this experience. But I've left out at lower chakras as well, and they tend to take you to more kind of base realms. It's interesting. It's very interesting. So you can exit out your chakras, and I think wormholes are linked to our chakras. I think that's what they kind of are. So you can pick. They also tend to, they could be cosmological chakras, if you like. So and we have chakras ourselves. So everything in our system is in resonance to the cosmos. So it's like we are a reflection of the cosmos. We are literally in that kind of image, energetically, in that image. So yes, you can.
Fascinating. That's really cool. I got a few more questions, but we got to take this last break here. If you want to get your questions in, you can always call in. You can definitely use the Fringe FM chat. I will check the text ins too as well. Don't forget to go to GregDoyleAstral.com just for reference tonight so that you can actually see what some of the courses are about. And if you go to GregDoyleAstral.com/lighting the void, you get $50 off. Is it just the Astral course, or what's the $50 off for?
Yeah, there's an online Astral course, which is really cool because it's a good platform, and there's videos, MP3s, and points and stuff, and you can on any platform. It loads up quick. It's a really good platform. So it's just for that online Astral travel course, which I think. You've tried it yourself, and I think that people seem to gain something from it. So, yeah, it's for that.
Awesome. All right, we'll get to your questions. We'll be right back with Greg Doyle. Stay with us.
And you are listening to The Fringe FM.
Hey, Google. I would like to become more intelligent about the unknown world around us, but I don't have time to read or go to school because I work all the time. What do you recommend?
Try listening to Lighting the Void. It's the best way to become more intelligent about the unknown world around us. Besides, I happen to think Joe Roop is the most handsome voice in radio. Listen Monday through Friday 9 p.m. till midnight Pacific time on the Fringe FM. Plus, you will hear a bonus feature called The Stranger Than Fiction News. Reported by Vance Nesbitt, news anchor and sorcerer. With all this information in one location, you are guaranteed to be more attractive to others in your social circle because you'll beam with intellectual wisdom.
Yeah, I think I'll try that.
The truth is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
What's up? This is James Cruz. You listen to KTLK The Fringe FM.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Did you know that qualified patients can access medical cannabis in all 50 states? CannaSense is a medical cannabis collective that helps patients in all 50 states gain access to cannabis medication. CannaSense does this with a streamlined process and strict compliance with the Compassionate Use Act of 1996, the Affordable Care Act, and the U.S. Constitution. It is important for each patient to understand the legalities involved, the costs, and the benefits of cannabis medication. Through truth, legalization, and education, the medical benefits of cannabis will supplant recreational perceptions, and the real vision for change will be realized. Let the people and their personal doctors take control of their medical cannabis decisions before the greed of big business takes over. The tipping point for change is today, and CannaSense is ready to lead the charge and enable legal access for all qualified patients to medical cannabis through its proven system. For more information, go to thefringe.fm/care or click the banner on the website today.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of The Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast where we tell real paranormal experiences of people from around the world. And we also conduct interviews with authors, investigators, psychics, and mediums. Real people, real stories, real fear. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on The Fringe FM. See you then.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Well, that's my man Kurt giving us a shout out. If anybody's seen Kurt, tell him to give me a holler. I don't know. I hope he's okay. I hadn't heard from him in a while. Tonight, our guest is Greg Doyle. Tomorrow night, Jack Doubleday will be on the program. And then Thursday night, Andy Thomas is going to be on the program. We're going to go back down the realm of conspiracies and cover-ups. Fascinating week coming up. So we're going to do the questions, and Greg is like just all the other guests. He's like, man, this has gone by really fast. They call it long-form, late-night talk radio, but seems like here on Lighting the Void, at least on the guest, for the guest, it goes by so quick. And yeah, man, I hope it's not 12 months again until I get to talk to you, you know. That would be kind of sad.
Same. Yeah, no, I loved it. It's wonderful. I love chatting, Joe. It's great.
So let's get to some of these questions here. First one I've got here is, so Angel had a dream where she, I guess, talked to a frog in a river. She wasn't a frog, but she talked to a frog in a river and wants to know, like she said, it felt real. When you were describing how things felt really real, she said she had that feeling. Now, I guess you related to that. What does that mean? Does that mean anything? Is that like a portal? Is it a sign? Is it a totem? What would you do if something like that happened to you?
Yeah. Look, it is a real thing. I think, well, first of all, when you're out there, because the astral, as I said, is related to the heart chakra, so you kind of open up there, and there is a communication like on a heart level with all things. So you can, you know, if a tree starts to talk to you, which can happen in the astral. I've got a friend who he was about to chop down a tree in his yard, and he's never had these experiences. And he contacted me and said, Greg, the strangest thing happened the other day. I sort of had this dream, and all of a sudden I went out, or in the dream, and the tree said, don't do it. Just tell me what you want. And he said in the dream, look, you're growing toward the house. I want you to grow away from the house. And the tree started to grow away from the house. He didn't chop it down. It was fascinating. So you can actually have the natural world communicate with you. It can also be, look, I think everything's an archetype. I think everything in this reality, 3D, is an archetype. I don't think it actually itself is what it is. So that it depends on the feeling that frog, what I would do if that's in a dream state, I would focus my attention into that frog. What that means is I just put all of my visual attention and my energetic attention, and so I would use that frog as a portal. But you can still communicate with that. It could be a frog is a frog, or the frog is a representation of something. In the end, it depends on that person's, on the context, and if there was something that came from that, whether Angel was, how she feels from it, really. But the reality of it tends to suggest that it is some kind of astral experience, a little bit different to a dream experience.
All right. Fantastic. Also, from the Fringe FM chat, how do you know who is your guide? I believe you answered that earlier, where you said that you just knew kind of where one wasn't and one was, or?
Yeah. Well, early on, this was, I think, the second experience I'd ever had, because I was kind of so, amazed by the astral stuff, and I found myself being pulled to this, it was like a medieval inn, I remember, like a pub, and there was this guy and this girl, and they told me early on that they were my guides, and this was not kind of vocabulary that I was used to. I remember pulling out of that experience thinking, what's going on? And then I get pulled straight back, and three times or so they pulled me back and told me about myself. And so they introduced themselves to me as my guides, and they have popped up continually. And one of them, the woman, ages in Earth years, and she's an ex-Earthling, ex-human. So she actually, so you can go back. You could be reincarnated as an astral guide if you want. So they told me they were my guides, and plus I have other ones who, and you just kind of know, you just kind of, there's a heart connection there, I guess. Yeah.
This is from the Night Stalker in the Fringe FM chat. Is it possible? Can you get stuck in the astral plane?
I don't believe so. I think remember this, you're going out anyway, okay? All you're doing is opening your eyes and starting to get conscious. Can you imagine like you're at the bottom of a swimming pool with just enough oxygen, and you're kind of there, half conscious, but imagine you were able to take that out of your mouth, the oxygen, and then float to the surface and fly away. This is all you're doing. So you're still, you always know that you have a physical body. You know where your physical body is, and you can return whenever you want. So if things become uncomfortable, or you get too shocked, or you feel somehow under threat, whatever, in any way, you can return back immediately to your physical body. That's never been an issue. I've never found that an issue, nor have I heard anyone to say it's an issue.
All right, fantastic. Okay. And do you believe that most of what we call paranormal phenomena, hauntings, apparitions, even, I can't tell what they're saying, orbs or, I don't know what they're saying. There is things that are being from the astral realm. I'm just trying to interpret this text. I think it was a little jarbled.
Yeah, I think they are. I think that what happens is that because they're the realms closest to us, so this stuff filters through. Like if I set up a portal, like, I've got this chair I use for astral traveling. When I set up a portal around it, I just do meditations, and I imagine, light around, like a vortex of light. And I remember the first time I did it around my chair, and just as I kind of became slightly unconscious, I heard this smashing of glass above me and this woman scream. Now, anyone else would go, oh, that's scary. And I thought to myself, fantastic. I'm breaking through to the astral realms because I'm looking for that kind of phenomenon. So in the lower astral, or the realms that are very close to ours, you get a lot of the phenomenon has to come through that before it gets here. So it may come from higher realms, but the only way you can enter the physical body or physical realms is to come through that realm. So the astral realm is kind of the closest interface, the closest chance we have of interfacing, and often you'll hear it in real terms, like in 3D, astral phenomenon does exist, so it's interfacing. It's actually like, like the palm of one hand and the palm of another hand touching. So that's why you get this phenomena that actually interfaces and permeates, and a lot of the agendas of certain beings, because they know this. There's a lot of occult used by certain beings in our realm that use this to control us a bit and to keep us down and to keep us fearful. They know that, and that's why they trigger, as I said earlier, emotional reactions in people, because the emotional reactions really feed that astral realm. So, for instance, you and I could come up with a certain being, and we could meditate on that being for a year. And then after a while, that being will actually exist in the astral. We've birthed it into the astral. And that becomes an archetype that we could, if we wanted to, use to manipulate people. And this is done. Think of the fairy tales, all this stuff that scares people. So the astral itself it's just very permeable, and it's just because it's unknown or unseen in this realm that we find it scary. But it's a very real thing, and the answer to that question is yes.
Okay, fantastic. What about people that are in comas, though? Are they technically stuck? That's from Amandala in the Fringe FM chat.
Good question. I don't know. I do know people who have, come out of a coma. I know actual people, and they've told me some stories of stuff. So there seems to be stuff going on. It's like the physical body has become, it's kind of lost its control, and they've sort of disconnected for a while. But I think that's something, on a spiritual level, I think it's something they've obviously chosen to experience, and very hard for us to say that. It's a difficult one to answer. That I think there's something of those mechanisms going on. Personally, I do.
It would only make sense, right? I mean.
Yeah, it's beyond time. So, they may be gone for years, but they, you don't know, it can be like a split second for them because there is no time, And so for some reason on the earthly realms, we needed years to go by. Who knows what karmic entanglement they have with family or friends. They needed them to be gone for years, So there's all these sorts of feedback mechanisms that we can't possibly know the ins and outs of, but I do think it's linked, yeah.
Okay, I don't know how much time left we got for this one, but it's a common question, and I've asked it myself. And from the Fringe FM chat, I'm still a little confused on the differences between the astral realm, the dream realm, the psychedelic realm, etc., and so on.
Yeah, look, I think they're all linked. I think how I would put it, I've never done psychedelics, so I can't tell. I think they are linked, though. I think it's just induced, that's all, in a perhaps... That's right. So I think it taps in, like the DMT is obviously involved. I think that our glands, pineal glands, pituitary glands obviously release stuff. I know that when I do a lot of my chakra cleansing meditations and stuff, like in my courses, the whole idea is that we, as humans, we hold things. We're taught to hold stuff. Even little kids, when they start to go to school, they become very tight, very tense. Education starts to tighten them up and calcify things. Our glands are meant to be free and flowing, and so that can often lead to psychedelic stuff. And I think that they're related. I think the dream state is just a less conscious state. So if you can carry awareness into a dream state, it then can transform into an astral state. So that's the real difference, is consciousness. In the astral state, you're very aware of things, where you are, what's going on. From some of the psychedelic things I've heard people's experiences. It's really full on interactions with a lot of nature beings and entities and stuff. And alluding to what you said earlier, Joe, like, are you prepared for that experience? Is someone prepared for that? Because that's like a full acceleration kind of thing. It's sort of an external thing. And I'm not saying anything against that. I think it's obviously, I've heard so many people say it's really helped them to know there's something else. That may be your way to experience it that way. But the astral way I see is a bit more gentle. You're sort of making your own way in there, your own kind of higher self guides helping you through. It's kind of at your own level, if you like. It's not too, you're not pushed into the into the accelerator, if you know what I mean. But I think they're all linked.
I know that
it's a question of awareness.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. The only thing I know is. All I know is this, Greg, is that one time I had the out-of-body experience where I had to actually pull myself out of my body. That experience, that one time, I know for sure, and I'm pretty sure about 3 or 4 other times, but this was one like no other, where I saw myself sleeping. I walked through walls. I flew in the tree. I went back and looked at myself asleep. That was what Robert Monroe called Locale 1, I think. But that was that realm where it really feels real, man, like so vivid. It's more real than real. You just know.
That's true. Yeah, that's what I call real time. That real time is when you're going out in kind of this dimension, if you like. It's like you're in like a ghost, looking at yourself and moving through. And that's kind of that is actually what you perceive as like the fourth dimension. So it's like an imprint of this and more, and what's behind this. And that's a very real state of being, because you're reminded how real it is because you see your body. You're walking through things that are physical. I remember the first time also walking through a wall when I left my body in this reality, and it was like the first time I hit the wall, I thought, hang on. And I looked back at my body and thought, no, I can do this. And then I walked through. It takes a while to train you into doing that. But that is, it is a phenomenal, it's a phenomenal experience, that.
Yeah, I promise you guys, like the first time, if you ever really do have that experience, the first time is going to be, you're going to just be so astonished. If you had one like I did, I don't know, Greg, your first experience, but mine was, I finally done it. This is it. There's no doubt. I'm here. I made it. I didn't leave my yard, but I was just so fascinated because I've been trying so hard to get to that point,
Yeah, but I said that's what I'm fascinated. I remember when I first ran courses, I only ran courses because people asked me, could I teach it? And I said, I don't know. We'll see. And
right.
I used to look at everyone who came. I used to look at them and I used to think, why are you here? Why would you go to an astral travel course? I'd never heard of it. And now I'm used to it and I'm fine. But because I'd never heard of the experience, nor had I consciously wanted to try this. So for me, it was just also the same thing though. Wow, this is real. But I didn't even know that this existed, this state of being. But you're right. You have it once and you don't go back in the best sense. Something in you has altered. It's like your waters within you have altered, their composition. And it's a fantastic thing. And it's also something that I would recommend everyone to try. Just from that phenomenological aspect, it feels amazing and it alters your sense of being in the best sense. I think it takes the kind of gravity or the negative gravity out of being a human, in my opinion. It opens up these other realms of magic and discovery and the childlike seeing and this notion that, wow, what can we actually create in this reality? We are actually creating. You lose the sense of being a victim also too, because you realize there's other things at play and you have much more say and power in this than we realize. So you have more purchase with what you are and the cosmos. It's a wonderful thing.
I want to talk about my experience with your course. The one thing that I can tell folks is some people just have an act for guiding you through things. There are certain voices out there that can do it and that know the methods, and Greg's one of them. And he has, if you can't tell already, he has a natural, soothing, calming voice. And so as much as analytical and as, Greg and I like to talk analytical and get so lost we don't even know where we started sometimes, right? But when he's teaching you this stuff and walking you through it, it's very simplified and it's very easy to do the visualizations and the relaxation techniques that he's walking you through. His voice is very soothing, and he's got the perfect voice because it doesn't put you to sleep, but it keeps you right there. Robert Monroe had that same kind of voice. It makes me wonder, like William Buellman does too. Did you study how to do that, or did you just naturally start talking?
Not at all. No, I never studied it. It's funny you say it because people have told me that, and thanks, Joe. It's just something, it's really funny because when I have my live meditations here, people come along and they sort of, and I'm wanting them to just, be normally awake, and they still start to lose. And it's really funny. And I'm talking loudly and going, I'm trying to talk in a normal everyday voice, but they still kind of go under. It's really, really funny. It must be a vibratory thing. But no, I've heard that what you're saying, but I don't try to do anything. It's just, I just think it's an energy, like a signature or something that's probably coming through. So some people have said, I had a friend of mine when I wrote my book, and he's a lawyer, and I'd never mentioned my out-of-body experiences to him. Uh-huh. Anyway, he read my book, and he just said, Greg, is this rubbish? He said to my face, he said, is this rubbish? And I said, no, this is all true. And he went, okay. And he just thought this was very odd. And next day he calls me and says, Greg, you're not going to believe this. I said, well, I will believe it. What? And he said, I started reading a book. I put it down, fell asleep, and I had an out-of-body experience. And I said, okay. And he couldn't believe it. And I think that it's like there are certain almost codes. Like I just think that for him, it was the act of reading that, and then sometimes it's like, I think, as I say in Astral courses too, sometimes like we could talk about anything and I think they're still going to have the same experiences. Or we could just sit in the room and I don't talk and they'll still have the same experiences. It's like we're going through almost the motions to make it logical. So it is an interesting thing. No, but I've never looked into the voice thing. I've never.
Well, people have asked me to do that. And I don't like it, honestly. They're like, hey, I listen to your show. And why? Why do you listen to the show? Do you like the topics? No, man, I really love your voice. Thanks.
Exactly. You've got a great voice.
But that's what true, about the topics? Well, I don't really understand some of them. I'm like, come on, really? But
I love that.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. And last thing I would like to ask you too, because we only got a few minutes left here, is one of my fascinations with this is group work. And I don't know. I know that since you started teaching, you've gotten more people to get involved. Have you had experiences where your students have gone to places together or recognized each other, things like that?
No, I've never tried to do that. Basically, in my course, I've never gone astral when someone's talking. So a lot of my courses is basically teaching how to do it yourself. Some people do have experiences during, but group was something I might try. I've never actually tried that. I've heard that Bob Monroe does that, doesn't he, in some of his stuff, I think, if you go to the Monroe Institute.
They did some experiments with it, yeah. I
must look into that. I've never actually tried it, but it's something that it could be interesting. It could be interesting. I have met people and organized and verified and that kind of stuff with each other later, but not in a group situation as you're suggesting. I haven't tried that. It'd be something to try.
Yeah, sure. It definitely. Yeah, well, a lot of your stuff is online too. He did a lot of his stuff in the facilities, but you have getaway. Is everything online that you do, or do you have actual? Because I know you've spoken in places before. So yeah, let's talk about that while we got a couple of minutes here. About your book, some of your speaking stuff that you do, and what people can get with your website.
Yeah, look, I do one thing for those, obviously, because I'm in Australia, but I've got a great space where I can have up to 15 people, so I do a lot of physical things here, but it's set in Brisbane, and sometimes I'll go to other places, like Sydney or Melbourne. I've done workshops there, and so I'll travel around to towns or whatever if they sort of call me. But I haven't done stuff overseas, but one thing that I do get a lot of people from the US, they do Skype things. So I will take them through one-on-one astral kind of initiations or attunements, or like the stuff I'll do in my course, but I'll sort of tap into their field and look at what techniques work for them. So I'll take them into meditative states. And there are some people who've done quite a few Skype sessions with me. So that's always an option for people too, if they want to talk me directly. So we just, get the video up and we can do it on Skype or on, those other apps, Messenger or whatever. So I do physical things here, but like Brisbane's becoming the astral capital of Australia, that's for sure, because I just happen to be in Brisbane.
It's pretty funny. I get to come out there one day, man. I'd like to hit the surf up with you or something. So if you go to GregDoyleAstral.com, that's the website, GregDoyle.astral.com/lighting the void will give you $50 off the online astral travel course. And that is the one that I have, that I believe, right? That's the one that I took, and it's the one I still have today, and it works.
Yes.
It very much works.
Yeah. And I also offer anyone doing it, because I'm keen, as you know, to share this stuff and for people to experience it firsthand. So anyone who takes the course, they're able to contact me and ask them as many questions as they want whenever they want to, you know. So I'm there to help people beyond the course as well. You know, it's not just something that is the course and there's no backup. So people have got to know that as well. So if they're keen to get into it, it's what I find is a lot of people they start something and they kind of lose interest a bit. So it's like anything, you know. I'm kind of probably obsessed in this theme a little bit, you know, because I really enjoy this whole phenomenon. So you stick at it. It's not that hard. Like a lot of people think, well, the astral travel thing, it's never going to happen. It's really, you'd be amazed how many people get results. You know, you stick at it even just for a couple of weeks, right. You know, and as you said, Joe, you just started and you know, and things happen. So things, and it's more than just the astral, like, you know, it's a knock-on effect in this reality as well. Things change for you for the better. You're just opening up to more and more possibilities of the what you are and kind of the magic that we're meant to experience, I believe, even in this realm. And it kind of, it's just fun and it feels right. And
it'll change your life, for sure.
It will change, and people have got to know it's possible. They've got to realize, wow, I just stick at it a bit in the most fun sense, and things will happen, you know?
Yeah. Greg, thanks for coming out, man. It's been a real pleasure having you back on the show again. It really has. Thank you.
Pleasure, Joe. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Greg Doyle, everybody, go check out the website, GregDoyleAstral.com, again, /lighting the void. Get you $50 off the Astral online course. Tomorrow night, Jack Doubleday will be with us. Please don't copy the show without written permission. The show is produced by me and the Fringe FM. Music was by Chronox, guitar by Bundy. Big shout out to Pacho for getting Greg on. Don, Lady Ann, Dennis, Eric Markham, Jeremy Scott. All of you, we love you guys. All of you in the Fringe FM chat. All of you text in people. We'll see you guys tomorrow night, same time. Good night.
On this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised.
Close the window, lock the door, start the party going up and home. Hey, let's all get gay, let's up this year. I'm not. Everybody tired. Glass, hold the jug, but not too fast.